Pokémon, the story of Yu. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176. Lei Qiyu shows his power. Raichu, 100,000 volts. Raichu's eyes widened, and the current spread on his cheeks. He turned into an electric dragon, and devoured the main rock wolf. The peak on the ceiling exploded. The expressions of Day and Densi, who were originally casual, changed instantly. This boy was stronger than he thought. Main rock wolf, sharp stone attack. Gladian shouted immediately. Main rock wolf immediately stood up, and hammered the ground hard. One by one, light blue light pillars rose from the ground, and attacked the electric current. The electric current stone pillars collided violently, and powerful energy waves clashed with each other. Countless rocks exploded and splashed, and dust flew, blocking everyone's sight. Raichu, 100,000 volts. Continue, Yu said. Just attack all of them once, and there is no need to find a target specifically. The electric current on Raichu surged. The yellow light shot up into the sky, and 100,000 volts crit, covering the entire training ground. Main rock wolf, who had just used the sharp stone attack, had not yet recovered his strength. He had no time to use the sharp stone attack again, and was hit by Raichu's 100,000 volts, with a crying expression on his face. Glengar, burn our experience. Gladian's eyes glowed, and the Z bracelet on his wrist emitted a brown light, connecting himself and the Glengar. The rock attribute has no resistance to the electric element, and Raichu's 100,000 volts is ridiculously strong. If the brown-eyed were not used to taking damage, he would have been unable to bear it. But even so, he couldn't take the second shot, and he had to break the move. The giant rock bathed in the light of the Kangayu Z pure crystal will forever seal this world heading for destruction. Take it, the earth-shattering giant rock drop. Gladian shouted, and the rock power rushed to connect himself and the Glengar. The rock element of the entire venue surged, and a huge rock that almost covered the entire battlefield formed in the sky and then fell suddenly. Day and Densi, who were watching on the second floor, changed their expressions again. Are these two teenagers here to refresh their concepts? Can they reach this level at the age of 11 or 12? Raichu, dig a hole. Yu was calm and composed, and quickly issued an order. The first time you see a rock Z move, you may be scared, but you have seen so many in the Alola region, how can you be shocked? Raichu quickly lowered his head, and immediately fled into the ground, 10 meters deep underground. The huge rock fell, and the earth trembled, as if the ground cracked, and the mountains collapsed. The whole arena shook violently, like an earthquake. The trainers who were training in other venues were shocked and stopped fighting. They looked at the ceiling in doubt, hesitating whether to escape immediately. After using a powerful Z move, Gladian's face did not improve. He saw Raichu digging a hole clearly, so although it was loud, it was empty. In the solemn moment, the ground loosened, and a flash of lightning suddenly burst out, hitting the main rock wolf head on. The main rock wolf's body was shaking, and about to fall off. Raichu's body was surging with electricity. After giving a hard punch, he floated in the air. It was not enough. He turned around, and wanted to finish the main rock wolf with another punch. Double return. At the critical moment, Gladian shouted loudly. The blood-red eyes of the main rock werewolf moved slightly, and he held up his exhausted body. In the extremely dangerous situation, his body emitted blue light, and he gently dodged the powerful attack of Raichu, then waved his hand, and threw an uppercut, hitting Raichu into the sky. 100,000 volts, rush to the ceiling, use the force, volt attack. Yu said. Lei the Raichu, that was hit into the sky immediately surged with electricity, stepped in the air, kicked the ceiling with his short legs, and rushed down with a force, turning into a flash of lightning, like a thunder, hitting the main rock werewolf, still with endless momentum, and rushing into the earth with terrifying power. The entire ground was completely broken in an instant, and there were gullies one after another, as if after a real earthquake. The main rock werewolf, who carried all the power, naturally fell to the ground powerlessly, completely losing all his fighting power, and even had no strength to move a finger. Lei seeing his own achievements, Raichu jumped excitedly and jumped into Yu's arms, rubbing his cheek against Yu to show his affection. However, it just burst out with all its strength and now its whole body is full of electricity. With this rubbing, all of Yu's hair immediately stood up and his whole body twitched slightly. Great. But even so, Yu still smiled and praised Raichu. After training with Tapu Mingming, Raichu has made significant progress. Not only has its power increased, there has also been a change in its state of mind. If it had been in the past, if Raichu was hit and flew away, it would have felt pain for a while, and would not have been able to complete the counterattack so quickly. Unlike now, after being hit and flying, it immediately reacted, used the electricity to float its body in the air, and then stepped on the ceiling to counterattack with the force, completing a one-hit kill. Lei hearing Yu's praise, Raichu was even happier, rubbing Yu's cheek, with a happy expression on his face. In the Alola region, it trained so hard every day, just to see Yu earlier. It wants to be with Yu forever, and win any championship for Yu. For this, it can face any challenge, even if it is defeated by Tapu Mu again and again, and is beaten all over every day. It doesn't care, it wants to follow Yu. What an amazing strength. Densey walked down and said, "Dai, Densey." Yu was surprised. Why did they come to him? They were shocked by the strength he just showed, and then came to make friends? Impossible, the battle just now was just ordinary. Oh, you know us? It seems that we are also famous. After being recognized, Day looked at Densey excitedly. Yes, especially Mr. Day, the bully of the Sinnoh Club, hiking. Every time he arrives in a region, he defeats the local gang leader, the idol of the unruly and freedom-loving teenagers in Sinnoh. Yu said. Haha, Densey couldn't help laughing after listening to Yu's words. Day was slightly embarrassed, but he quickly reacted and said, "It's all in the past, it's not important, but I think you have my style. Why don't you do the same as me?" "No, I don't like being treated as an idol, it's better to be alone." Yu refused. "I don't know, is it convenient for Fang to fight with me?" Densey suddenly said. "Fight?" Yu looked at Densey strangely. "Yes, fight. Use the Raichu just now," Densey said. "Use Raichu?" Yu frowned slightly, a little bit unsure of Densey's thoughts, but still nodded and said, "Okay, come on." The battle with the main rock werewolf just now did not consume much Raichu, so he could fight again. And in front of everyone, Densey couldn't do anything shady, and there would be no loss. "Thank you. If you don't mind, I want you to use the trick you used at the beginning just now," Densey said. "That's no problem," Yu said. "It's not a big problem. Thank you." Densey thanked him seriously. Although his request was not excessive, not everyone would help. Chapter 177 The Secret of Electromagnetic Levitation. Densey's sudden invitation was beyond everyone's expectation, but since Yu agreed, the battle began. Yu and Densey stood separately, and Raichu jumped out of Yu's arms and stood still, with electric current flashing on his cheeks, determined to win. Densey also took out a Pokeball, a red light flashed, and a Naughty bounced out. Naughty egg? Yu looked at Densey in surprise. He really didn't expect Densey to train such a magical Pokémon as Naughty egg. In the Pokémon world, it is an explosive molecule on par with a Zelnut ball. Really, it can blow itself up in a minute. When it encounters a little unhappy thing, it will play a big explosion and blow itself up. And it doesn't matter when or where it wants to explode. There are almost every year when Naughty Egg explodes and injures people. It's really not an ordinary person to be able to cultivate Naughty Egg. Facing Yu's surprise, Densey was not surprised. This was not the first time. He smiled and said, "Although Naughty Egg is special and can easily explode, it can also be a very strong Pokémon if it is trained well." "I believe it." Yu nodded. "Unless it has a very poor talent, so poor that it is hard to describe. The average Pokémon can basically find its talent after training and reach the elite level. The better ones can reach the Quasi-King level. And a race, even if the overall deviation is large, will definitely have some gifted people if there are enough of them." "You first," Densey said. "Okay, Raichu, electric field." Yu was not polite at all. The electromagnetic field was so much stronger than his, and Densey was embarrassed to attack. He saved the courtesy. The electric current surged from Raichu's body, spreading along his feet to the entire field, and the electric waves were crisscrossed, and the entire ground was filled with electric current again. Please again. Densei, I said. He asked for the electric field, so he planned to give it up again, and didn't want to take advantage of it. Raichu, 100,000 volts. Densei said so, and Yu did not shirk his responsibility. He continued to issue the order. He wanted to see what exactly Densei was up to. Raichu's eyes were round, and a strong electric current immediately burst out from his body and rushed towards Naughty Egg. Naughty Egg, roll. Densei was not in a hurry. Naughty Egg showed a ferocious expression on his face, and his body quickly rolled up, turning into a residual image and rushing towards Raichu. The electric current hit his body and was naturally separated by the high-speed rotating body and violently hit Raichu, and Raichu was ruthlessly knocked into the sky. Raichu, stabilize your body and burst your fist with electricity, Yu said. Although he didn't know why Densei wanted to fight, it was his instinct not to lose. Raichu's body rotated in the air, his right fist shone slightly, and then fell from the sky and attacked Naughty Egg violently. Naughty Egg, float away. Densei shouted. The electric current surged in Naughty Egg's body, and the ions floating in the air changed accordingly. Naughty Egg moved faster and easily dodged the full strength attack of Raichu, leaving an afterimage in the air. Then the current changed and hit again violently. Raichu was completely knocked into the wall on the side, smashing a shallow pit and showing a painful expression. Electromagnetic levitation. Yu looked at Densei in shock, his eyes full of disbelief. How did you make a Pokémon without steel attributes do this? Electromagnetic levitation uses magnetic force to make Pokémon fly by itself, and the speed is extremely fast, comparable to a maglev train, and the fastest speed can reach 600 km per hour. In the game, it is not a special trick, that is, floating in the air, immune to ground skills for 5 rounds, and there are many Pokémon who can learn it, like the Raichu family is one of them. It is also a trick that Yu really wants Raichu to learn. After all, if you can fly, it is much more convenient than digging a hole. If you encounter an earthquake while digging a hole, you really don't know how to die. But games are games, and reality is reality. In reality, the best users of this trick are the Magnemite family and the Metagross family. They have mastered the control of magnetism to such an extreme that it is almost instinctive to use magnetism to overcome gravity and fly. It is even inherited from genes and can be regarded as a characteristic. However, the basis of this is that both Pokémon have the attribute of steel. For example, the Metagross family has magnets in all its cells, so they can use magnetism as easily as their own arms. Magnetization of steel. Yu once thought about making Raichu stronger, but if that were the case, Raichu would also be magnetized. This is unique to electric Pokémon. When Pikachu was in Kanto, it was magnetized, just like a cold, so it was liked by a Magnemite. Magnemite also called his brothers to beat the Muddy family for Pikachu and helped Sasaki to finally conquer Muddy. However, this magnetization is not a good thing, but the result of too much electricity in the body that cannot be discharged. It is similar to a cold. Even if too much electricity is accumulated in the body, the whole Raichu will explode and die. Sasaki's Pikachu almost exploded, but fortunately the rockets assisted. Yu really didn't dare to make this attempt. Pokémon are living beings. Once they die, they cannot be saved. Therefore, Yu just kept collecting information from other trainers, as well as the legendary Pokémon Zeraora. Zeraora, an electric attribute beast, does not have the steel attribute, but the speed of bursting out using the electric magnetic field is comparable to that of a thunderbolt. It's just that Yu doesn't know the principle, so just treat it as Zeraora's strength. But Yu didn't expect that the Naughty Egg Densei could do it. Naughty Eggs don't have the steel attribute either. How did Densei do it? Just practice? Because even if the Naughty Egg doesn't absorb the current, it will explode by itself. So it doesn't matter if you don't practice. It will explode anyway, so there's nothing to worry about. It's naturally the result of training. Electricity and magnetism can be converted into each other. When electric current is generated, magnetism will naturally appear. and as long as you can control these magnetic forces, you can naturally float easily. Densei said. Yu looked straight at Densei. What you said is the same as not saying anything. You might as well tell me directly that this is your trainer's secret, then I will be honest. Seeing Yu's puzzled expression, Densei seemed to think that what he said was too simple, and said, electromagnetic levitation is based on electricity and guides magnetic force. If the Pokémon itself has the attribute of steel, it will float up easily. Theoretically, all Pokémon with steel attributes can fly after learning electric attribute tricks such as 100,000 volts, but those without steel may not be enabled to fly as long as the magnetic force is well controlled. At SYNOPSIS University, Dr. Miyu proposed the famous second electromagnetic theorem. Assuming that the change in the value of energy is fixed, the change of ET conservation cooperate with the third Nishida theorem proposed by Professor Nishida of Lakeside University, and set the change of the magnetic induction intensity B of the uniform magnetic field as the value. Comprehensive operation can allow non-steel Pokémon to use the magnetic field generated by electric current to overcome gravity. Yu opened his mouth wide, confused. He almost forgot that Densei was not only a powerful trainer, but also a very good scientist. How good is he? One person created a solar power supply system for the entire city, making the entire city worry-free about electricity. A fully electric lakeside tower several tens of meters high can even fly. The robots he developed part-time are intelligent and advanced. He is a truly awesome scientist. Therefore, it is not surprising that he can make Naughty Egg, who has no steel attributes, fly using electricity. After all, the majors are related. However, Yu said that he didn't understand. In his previous life, he chose human resources management in college, and he returned the high school chemistry and physics knowledge to the teacher bit by bit. After entering the society, he forgot it very quickly. Not to mention, there was no Dr. Miyu or Professor Nishida in his previous life. Not to mention this life, I have never seriously studied these theorems. It is not enough to be busy understanding Pokémon. There is no exam. I just occasionally look at some simple things, such as chemistry and physics in life, which are simple and direct, and can be used. As for principles and formulas, I'm sorry, I don't know. Chapter 178 Concepts in the Electromagnetic Field. You still don't understand? Densei looked at Yu's confused expression. Yu nodded, slightly embarrassed. Young man, you still need to read more books, and not just immerse yourself in Pokémon training. Densei said earnestly. Yu's face became even more embarrassed. He had said similar words to Sunday many times in Pokémon school, but he didn't expect that one day he would be preached. However, Yu still said shamelessly, is there any way to teach Raichu electromagnetic levitation with some simple, clear and quick methods? Young man, it's wrong to seek shortcuts. Densei said. Is there a quick way? Yu asked. Yes, and no. If you specialize in electromagnetic levitation, you can omit a lot, but you still have to know some basics. Densei said. Then I don't know how. Mr. Densei, you will teach me? Yu said. It's not difficult. Teach me how to use the special move of electric field. Densei said. Electric field? This is why Mr. Densei came to me. Yu smiled. Yes, electromagnetic levitation can make electric Pokémon escape gravity and even compete with flying Pokémon and fly into the sky. But this only increases the speed, not the power. As for your electric field, I just tested it. In it, not only did the electromagnetic levitation of Naughty Bomb become faster, but the power of the electricity on it also became stronger. If it can be popularized, the spread of electricity and the electromagnetic will be combined, so that electric Pokémon can fly and enhance their abilities at the same time. Densei said with shining eyes. Electric spread? Yu's eyes also lit up. He has carefully studied the principle of the electric field, which uses the electric current trick of Pokémon to stimulate the distribution of electric ions in the entire field, to form a place similar to a field. The electric ions are active here, so the Pokémon's tricks are further improved, and when the Pokémon's whole body is charged, the Pokémon can be more flexible than usual. Just like the combination punch of Raichu just now. But there are also weaknesses. Because it is not a characteristic, you have to use this trick deliberately, and it may be interrupted. But now if electromagnetic levitation and the magnetic field of the electric field are completely integrated, doesn't it mean that you can fight and maintain the electric field at the same time? If that's the case, it would be a big win. When the game starts, Dragonite goes out, it rains, and controls the weather. Raichu turns the field into an electric field. Then the electromagnetic float flies up to the sky and attacks with thunder. Yu Yu's eyes light up when he thinks of that scene. If it really works, Raichu can be renamed Thor. Even if he is at the level of a Quasi-King now, he may not be without the ability to fight against the king. Is it convenient now? I can sort out the method of how to train the electric field immediately, Yu Yu said. I have to thank little Mamane for this. Alala's technical geek is proficient in various program production and studies electric type tricks. During that time, he studied with Tapu Momo every day, watched Tapu Momo train Raichu, wrote a perfect equation, and also let Mamane's own Pokémon Togedema learn the electric field. It's convenient. After the Champions League is over, I will give you a few lessons and teach you formulas and theorems. Denji said. Thank you, Yu Yu said. Then continue the game, just in time to see how good the effect of electromagnetic float plus electric field is. Denji said, okay. Yu Yu nodded, and then the smile on his face disappeared, turning serious. Thunder, use another 100,000 volts. The electric bag on the Thunder's cheek surged with electricity, and instantly burst out a strong current, turning into a series of electric dragons, rushing towards the Naughty Bullet. Naughty Bullet, keep rolling. Densi said calmly. The power of the Thunder's current was indeed very strong. Even he, an expert in the electric system, had to admit that. But as an electric system, it was not easy to cause damage to the Naughty Bullet. The Naughty Bullet rolled quickly, jumped up, turned into a white light and violently hit the Thunder. The electric current emitted by the Thunder covered the whole body, like a falling meteor, and violently rushed towards the Thunder again. Thunder, dig a hole. Yu Yu said hurriedly. The Thunder was also frightened, and hurriedly lowered his head, burrowed into the ground, and became a shrinking mouse. The attack of the Naughty Egg did not hit, but he was not at all chaotic. His figure floated over the head of the Thunder Hill, collided with the wall, and then hit back with a more violent speed. He repeated it over and over again, shooting in the air, leaving a trail of after images, so fast that it was almost indistinguishable to the naked eye, and the electric current of the entire venue also exploded. There was a terrifying electric current everywhere. In an instant, the whole place seemed to have become a domain. A group of onlookers were stunned, and it was hard to imagine that a Naughty Egg could be so strong. Electric field, plus electromagnetic floating, and combined with rolling, it can actually achieve this. I guess in the future, there will be a group of people to subdue the lightning ball. Day sighed on the side. Even he couldn't help but sigh when he saw this scene. Although the Naughty Egg of the electric CI is at the level of a Quasi-King, he is not outstanding among the Quasi-Kings, but after combining electromagnetic floating, electrical field and rolling, there are probably few below the king who can compete. Even the king can wrestle with the king, unless interrupted at the first time. But if you interrupt it at the first time, you must get close to it. Once you get close to it, the explosion of the Naughty Egg will be equally powerful. Day raised his eyebrows slightly, revealing a bit of competitiveness. He and Densi have been fighting since they were young. In the later period, everyone's development was different. In order to become stronger, he went out to travel, while Densi stayed in the lakeside gym, became a gym trainer, and did scientific engineering research at the same time. Therefore, his strength is much stronger than Densi. It is almost 2 levels. But for such Densi, he found that he, who is of the same strength, could not find a tactic to crack it. We can only wait until the effect of the electric field disappears to exchange for a glimmer of hope. Gladian said, the electric field has a time limit. As long as the electric field disappears, the speed of the electromagnetic floating will decrease, and there will be a chance. Otherwise, there is no solution. Rolling in the air. Which genius came up with this method? If this was on the ground, Raichu could break it by digging a hole directly. But rolling in the air and digging a hole can't attack at all. The power of the rolling trick will continue to increase with the number of rollings. When it rolls to the end, the power is the most powerful trick known so far. But at that time, wasn't the power of rolling the strongest? Raichu would lose its combat power if it touched it. Lily said. That's right. Gladian frowned, thinking hard about how to defeat the enemy. In the end, he couldn't imagine it at all. He looked at Densey with a look of amazement. Is this the strength of the players who can participate in the Champions League? He witnessed the appearance of the Ultra Beast with his own eyes and almost captured Lily, causing Lily to be afraid of Pokémon from then on. So he worked hard to become stronger, ran away from home alone, and went out to exercise. However, like Alan in Carlos, he did not choose to challenge the gym, but did an alternative practice. But now, he suddenly regretted not participating in a game. If he could win the championship in a regional conference, could he also fight against these players? So it's really unsolvable? Lily looked worried. The players in the Champions League were so powerful that they were not seeded players, but could force you to this point. With equal strength, there is no solution for the time being. Day affirmed. Not necessarily, my Gar comp completely ignores it. A voice suddenly sounded, and Day turned his head and saw that a blonde lady suddenly appeared beside him. Miss Sharona? You are here too. Day was surprised. He was in the same period as Sharona. He was defeated by Sharona at the SYNOPSIS conference and was deeply impressed. Yeah, I came back from archaeology and wanted to relax here. I heard a big commotion here, so I came to see it. I didn't expect it was you and the others. Sharona's beautiful eyes looked at the two Pokémon in the venue, revealing a curious brilliance. Rolling in the air, adding electric current. Is this a rolling plus volt attack? Such tactics are indeed difficult to deal with. The Champions League is really interesting. But, are you really going to be beaten all the way like this? Sharona looked at Yu curiously. Chapter 179 Thunder God erupts. Are you going to keep running away? You're doomed to lose. Densey looked at Yu with a little disappointment. Hiding underground can temporarily avoid the attack of the naughty egg. But temporarily avoiding will rapidly increase the energy of the rolling attack of the naughty egg. Now the attack power of the naughty egg has reached the level of the king. Raichu can't face it head on. And Raichu must fight back. This is the rule of the game. Of course, in a private battle, Densey can also allow you not to fight back. But although Raichu can dig holes, it is not a Pokémon that lives underground after all, and it can't stay underground for too long. So it still has to come out. Not necessarily. Let the naughty egg stop rolling. Won't the power of rolling stop? Even now, will it explode with too much electrical energy accumulated in its body? Yu said. But how can you stop my naughty egg from rolling? Stop the electrical field. That's useless. Densey looked at Yu with interest. I won't stop the electrical field. The victory or defeat itself doesn't have much meaning. Its biggest meaning is to try the electrical field and electromagnetic levitation. If I withdraw, I will lose. Besides, it's useless to withdraw. Yu said. Then how are you going to win? I'm really curious. Densey said. He couldn't think of how to win now. If Raichu dared to show up, he would be killed by naughty egg in the first blow. Then I will prove it to you. Although I'm a veritable academic scum in electricity, some things are universal. For example, one force can break 10 skills, and destruction is always easier than creation. Yu's expression became serious, and he suddenly shouted loudly, Raichu, burst out your full strength, and thunder with the greatest power. As the voice fell, deep underground, dazzling lightning burst out, and the shocking power of electric current made the whole ground tremble violently, and the earth and rocks collapsed, as if the end of the world had come. The current system of the entire arena was in chaos. The naughty egg, who was originally floating steadily in the air, suddenly fell straight down. Denji's face suddenly changed, and he suddenly realized a problem with electromagnetic floating. Facing electric attribute Pokémon, he might lose control. Yu's mouth corners rose wildly. He really didn't understand what the law formula was. However, he knew that strong electric current would generate a magnetic field and have magnetic force. And flying with magnetic force is a technical job, which is very subtle. All technical jobs must be precise. Can't we create, but can't we destroy? Naughty boy, leave quickly. Denji shouted hurriedly. The strong current temporarily disturbed the magnetic force here, but it was only temporary after all. Just temporarily avoid it, but in this way, the original rolling power will disappear. But at this time, self-protection is important. As long as you survive here, Raichu should have no fighting power. The electric current on the naughty boy burst out, and suddenly burst out 100,000 volts. With the help of the current, he stabilized his body and staggered away. Now, Raichu, burst out our full strength and unparalleled fierce punch. Yu shouted loudly, and the purest light on his wrist shone, emitting the energy of the fighting system. Full strength unparalleled fierce punch? Densey looked puzzled. What was this trick? Before he could figure it out, he saw a yellow figure flying out from the ground, and then punched with both fists. Fist shadows burst out all over the sky, hitting the defenseless naughty egg in the air, and knocked the naughty egg away with one punch, punching through the ceiling. The current that the naughty egg had previously absorbed madly was completely out of control at this moment, and burst out all at once. With a loud bang, it was forced to self-destruct, and the entire ceiling exploded. In the room above, the two trainers who were fighting were almost scared to pee. The arena owner hurried over and saw the scene in front of him, wanting to cry but not tears. Yu's expression was also very subtle. Such a big game was a bit beyond his expectations. Didn't we agree that it would be top facilities and first class equipment? It's worse than the Pokémon school. Did I become a member in vain? Yu looked at the arena owner who was about to speak, and said first, I'm a member of your place. If I break something, I don't have to pay for it, right? The membership agreement said so. Yes, you are a distinguished member. No compensation is required. This is our mistake. We did not build the facilities well. We apologize to you here. I hope you don't mind. The owner of the arena who was about to ask for accountability was suddenly blocked by Yu's words. Membership fees are expensive, and the service provided is to provide an absolutely safe environment. Now that the facilities are damaged, it is their dereliction of duty. Asking them to compensate is false advertising. He was full of fuck, but he didn't dare to say a word. After all, the Champions League is about to be held, and anything that violates the contract will cause trouble. Besides, those who can afford to be members will never be easy to mess with. It's okay, so let it be. Yu said. So let it be. After all, there is no loss. In order to apologize, we decided to renovate it and make it perfect. Please forgive us. At the same time, we will give you a 1-year membership as a gift. You are welcome to come again. The owner of the arena gritted his teeth and said, anyway, it has been demolished. It is better to maximize the benefits. With this kind of strength, he can enter the quarterfinals in previous years. He is still so young and has a promising future. It is better to build a good relationship. If he becomes famous in the future, people can still admire this place. I'm sorry, Yu said. You are too enthusiastic. Nothing. It's my duty. We welcome you to come again after we finish repairing it. The owner of the arena said. Okay. The owner of the arena was so generous, Yu naturally agreed, and then left with Lilia, Day, and Sharona. I really didn't expect that you would use such a method to get out of trouble in the end. Densey said he really didn't think he would lose this game for Yu. In fact, there are some pointers for the younger generation. When I was a gym trainer, I was used to it, so I just pointed out some pointers. Unexpectedly, the clown turned out to be me. It's just luck. Compared with the invention of electromagnetic levitation, this is just a little cleverness. Yu said, destruction is easy, but creation is really difficult. But destruction is very effective in battle. I'm now looking forward to the Champions League more and more, and I hope to fight you then. And what was the trick you used in the end? Densey said. Z moves are unique to Alala. You need to know more about them. The day after tomorrow, Dr. Kuki, the regional doctor of Alala who specializes in Z moves, will be there. You can ask him. He will give you the most professional explanation. Yu said. He used it in front of these people, so he could also advertise Alala. Drive Kuki. Sharona and the others nodded at the same time. Okay, the competition ends here. Let's watch the opening ceremony the day after tomorrow, and then prepare for the competition, to see who goes further. Yu said. That must be me. Day said confidently. Miss Sharona is right beside you. Who gave you the courage? Densi complained helplessly. Not only will I become one of the 4 heavenly kings this time, I will also avenge my previous shame. Day stared at Sharona with fiery eyes. I'm waiting. And your Jenga, how far has it progressed? It should be stronger than the Raichu just now. Sharona answered Day, and then looked at Yu. It's only been 3 months since I last saw it, but it's so much stronger than it was at the Quartz conference. Is your Pokémon on drugs, or is it blessed by God? That's right, if there is a chance, let's fight with all our strength. Yu said. Okay. Sharona's clear eyes, which were clearly black and white, also showed a hint of fighting spirit. Let's see how far you can go. Chapter 180 Opening Movie. Bang, bang, bang. The brilliant fireworks lit up the night sky in an instant. The fireworks were bright and dreamy, more beautiful than the stars. Sitting in the venue of Suzerain Island, looking up at the most brilliant fireworks, all the players and spectators in the Suzerain venue showed joyful smiles on their faces. And with the setting off of fireworks, the Champions League officially opened. Countless spectators, players, and people who could not attend in person for various reasons, and could only watch the live broadcast on TV screens were looking forward to the broadcast of the opening ceremony. It was different from the opening ceremony of the regional conference. The opening ceremony of the regional conference usually had no viewing value. It was just a simple fireworks display and oath. Kanto City had a ceremony to light the sacred flame. But the Champions League was different. Every opening ceremony was carefully rehearsed and more exciting than a large-scale evening party. Under the expectation of everyone, the lights in the venue suddenly dimmed without any warning, and the entire venue fell into darkness, and it was pitch dark. The sudden darkness was beyond everyone's expectation. For a moment, the audience cried out in surprise, and the children were even more panicked. But before they could panic and do anything, a little light suddenly appeared in the darkness, first like the light of a candle, and then gradually grew bigger, like the moon. More precisely, it was like an egg. The audience was surprised, and sat down again, realizing that this was just a little smile at the opening ceremony, but they were more looking forward to it. In particular, many people who had watched the Champions League for the first time found it more interesting to see such a new look. The giant egg filled with light surged with power, and suddenly broke apart. A creature with a white body and a cross wheel on its body, which looked a bit like the Killin, the mythical beast in Yu's previous life, and a bit like an alpaca, was born. The 3-dimensional projection spanned between heaven and earth. The whole body exuded a holy light, gathering boundless power, and the stone slabs condensed, as if there was boundless power. Although it was just a virtual image, under the powerful high-tech effect of the league, it was like a real object, as if it was right in front of us. All the audience subconsciously held their breath, not even daring to breathe. In the audience, Sharona's beautiful eyes flickered again and again. Wasn't it said that this year's opening ceremony would be the same as in previous years, with singing and dancing? How did it become a 3-dimensional projection? However, it was really good. It's rare that President Damalanki has such an idea. It seems that being with children often can keep you innovative. In a corner of the venue, President Damalanki, who was evaluated by Sharona as innovative, looked at Arceus in the sky with an amazed expression. This 3-dimensional view is really different from the 2-dimensional view on the computer. It's magnificent. But is Yu really not afraid of offending people when he shows that movie? Forget it, Juicy has agreed. It's not his grandson, so why should he worry about it? The movie continued to play, looking at the vast space around him. The newly born creatures, blessed in their hearts, naturally learned human language, and a majestic and divine voice sounded. I'm Arceus, the god of creation. After saying this, Arceus looked at the world without anything, and suddenly realized something. The surrounding space and time changed, yin and yang became one, and 2 more Pokémon were born. You will be called Dialga and Palkia. The divine voice sounded again, naming the 2 newly born Pokémon. But just after the naming was finished, before the 2 Pokémon were arranged, a special reverse space condensed at the core of the power of Dialga and Palkia. The shadows of Dialga and Palkia gathered together, and a brand new Pokémon was born. However, when this Pokémon just appeared, a force that was even stronger than the previous 2 Pokémon suppressed the 2 Pokémon. The two Pokémon showed an impatient expression at the same time and attacked the newly born Pokémon. The newly born Pokémon was naturally not in a good mood and immediately launched a counterattack against Dialga and Palkia. The surging dragon power and ghost power burst together, and the whole space was in chaos. Dialga's eyes glowed orange, and an indigo ball formed in front of his chest, emitting a destructive force that twisted time around him. Palkia's arms glowed with purple light, and he slashed hard, breaking space. The three beasts started a world-destroying war, and endless power exploded. Even though they knew it was just an image, a large group of people were still frightened. Sirona was also dumbfounded. Time Roar and Subspace Slash. We have studied these two beasts' exclusive moves for so long before we discovered them, and we haven't reported them yet. How did the president know about them? It's so spectacular. The students of the Alola Pokémon School were in a corner of the audience, looking at the projected three-dimensional images with admiration. If you want to see it, I'll invite you to see it later. Yu said, such a movie is basically not available in Alola, because the cost of this movie is higher than most people can imagine. If Yu hadn't received financial support from his mother, his small treasury would not be enough. After all, this movie has no plot, so it can only focus on special effects. If the special effects are not good, Giratina will be unhappy. A group of people nodded and then stared at the battle in the sky. This battle is so cool to watch. In the movie, the three beasts came out and fought. Arceus finally couldn't bear it anymore. The power in his body surged, the stone slab shook, and an indescribable terrifying power erupted. Countless rays of light bloomed, cutting through everything. In an instant, time solidified, space stagnated, and the three Pokémon were all seriously injured. Arceus floated over and looked at Giratina and said, "You are born with the power of destruction. From now on, you are not allowed to appear in the world and will be exiled forever." After speaking, Arceus' eyes flashed, and the reverse space exploded. Giratina was still confused and was forcibly expelled to the reverse world. Forever exiled. At this time, a narration voice sounded. Arceus was angry at Giratina for not listening to his training. He attacked Dialga and Palkia when he was born, thinking that he was violent and evil by nature, and exiled him forever to the lonely world of the reverse world. But he didn't know that Giratina was just born with an instinct that he was not used to, just like a baby crying when it was just born. It didn't understand, but no one could change it. Giratina was exiled. Even though it was just born, it didn't understand what it did wrong. The world changes, the sea changes, Arceus created the world, countless new lives were born, and the lives of Ho-Oh, Lugia, Celebi, etc. evolved, bringing prosperity to this world. As the narration tells the story, the pictures flow, and the beautiful scenery of this world is revealed one by one. Ho-Oh, Lugia, Celebi, Kyogre, Groudon. One by one, the mythical beasts appear, showing the beautiful scenery from all over the world. The audience was amazed again. Although they still didn't see any plot from beginning to end, such beauty was shocking. Especially some people who have never left their hometown. Everyone marveled at this beauty, even including a great photographer who was accidentally seen while flying in the sky, and the sea god who Yu paid special attention to. Of course, the real protagonist, Giratina, was indispensable. Standing in the reverse world, watching the opening ceremony. But his expression was not very good, even angry. Xiaoyi, what are you doing? Are you digging up my dark history? Or is it a fake dark history? Don't you want to live? Chapter 181 Rainbow Rocket Team. Life continues to multiply, and new life is finally born. Humans, the new overlords of this world. They began to get along with the Pokémon of this world, and learned more about ancient knowledge. Some lucky humans also entered the reversed world. Giratina was overjoyed, but its happiness was met with disgust, fear, and attack. Because, according to human legend, Giratina was exiled because of its brutal voice, so they panicked, they hated, and even attacked. Giratina, who had accumulated endless loneliness, was also angry. He was attacked for no reason, and he began to exile himself and destroy everything even more. After all, everyone thought it was destroying, so how could it not destroy? The screen turned, and it was all Giratina's infinite destruction. The expressions of the viewers were complicated. Some people even began to wonder, why do you have such a good opening ceremony? The 3 views are slightly wrong. It doesn't conform to the positive energy of the new era at all. However, a group of children felt something burning in their bodies. Many people began to sympathize with Giratina. The ghost power of Giratina in the reversed space surged more fiercely. Zairoyi, if there is no reversal, do you think I will die? I'm pitiful? Are you kidding? I'm the strongest. The great photographer Ho-Oh in the sky and Lugia in the ocean both smiled. Although Ho-Oh had no idea of the cause and effect, it was very happy to arrange Giratina in this way. All the audiences were in different moods, but without exception, they all began to look forward to the development of the next plot. But watching the screen turn, they entered the human society. Technology is advanced, and all industries are prosperous. But the brighter the light, the bigger the shadow. The power of darkness is constantly accumulating. The screen turned, and a middle-aged man with a cold face was projected in 3 dimensions, sitting on an office chair, like a king, with countless minions behind him. At the headquarters, a bright red R appeared in everyone's sight. The Musashi trio, who were also squatting in a corner of the venue to watch a movie, jumped up when they saw the man in the picture. Isn't this Boss Sasaki? Kojiro looked panicked. Would he be pulled out and whipped after he died? Yes. Boss Sasaki, you can still be in a movie after you die. Why can't I be so beautiful? Musashi said angrily. Yeah, it's okay if Musashi can't do it, but why can't I do it too? Meow. Meow Meow shouted. Didn't you say you would make me a Pokémon star? What did you say? Meow Meow had just finished speaking when Musashi's face instantly turned into a volcanic eruption and he stepped on Meow Meow. Frightened, Kojiro silently shrank his neck and swallowed his words. In his heart, he was the most suitable person to be a star. He can be a man or a woman. He has rich life experience. Whether it's a rich son, a street vendor, or even a thief, he can play his true colors. His acting skills are definitely at the level of an actor. The reaction of the audience from Kanto and Johto was similar to that of the Musashi trio. When Sasaki died, the news about Chairman Amlanji was played on a loop for a week, and the entire Kanto city could be said to be known to everyone. Sasaki was the criminal leader of the underground organization Team Rocket. Unexpectedly, even though he was dead, he would appear in the movie and plot a conspiracy. Feeling the surprise of the audience, Yuyu's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a hint of smile. Do you think it was only Sasaki? Naive. The movie continues. A hero needs 3 helpers, and villains also need good friends. After Sasaki, there are Shu Wutong, the leader of the Hone Water Fleet, Kai Yansong, the leader of the Magna Team, Chiri, who was also confronted by Yu in Sinop, and Quichis, the leader of the Plasma Team in the Unova region. They cooperated to form the world's largest underground organization, the Rainbow Rocket Team. They conducted crazy research, constantly captured precious Pokémon for sale, and even dissected Pokémon to study genes. The group of people watching gnashed their teeth again. In the sky, the expression of the Phoenix King who had been peeking at the screen suddenly became ugly. For so many years, humans have not changed. The movie continues to develop, and Sinochiri, who has been peeking at the screen, has discovered a way to enter the reverse world from somewhere. In order to control the world, he constantly sent people to study the magnetic field of the reverse world. Entering the reverse world really hurt Giratina. Giratina was beaten all over and was dying. In the reverse world, countless spaces exploded. Giratina's eyes were about to spit fire. Zairoyi, are you looking for death? I promised that I would be invincible in the movie. How could you frame me like this? Would I be unable to defeat a few humans? Giratina flew, completely furious, and used his ghost power to control the computer that Yu had prepared for him, looking up information. What is the best way to kill someone? What are the 10 tortures of the backward empire? Are humans delicious? Why do people commit suicide? Giratina kept looking up information, but the hearts of the audience outside were lifted, and they looked at Giratina worriedly, fearing that Giratina would be caught. At this moment, a person suddenly appeared. At this time, the narration, which had disappeared for a long time, suddenly appeared. This is a young man named Ai. He is handsome, intelligent, brave, and a model for humans. Everyone in the Pokémon school looked at Yu in unison. They had seen shameless people, but they had never seen such a shameless person. Yu was calm. What is a face? Can it be eaten? Or can it make Pokémon stronger? Sharona's thin eyebrows raised, and she seemed to guess who made this movie. Apart from a group of people who knew Yu, most people still didn't react to Goulet's actions, but just looked at the boy who suddenly appeared nervously. Seeing him make full use of human technology to save Giratina, they breathed a sigh of relief. After that, as the screen turned, everyone began to slowly understand this boy named Yi. He was born different from others. Because he was born with powerful superpowers, and because he was too young to control himself, he often caused harm to people around him, so he was isolated and hurt. He did nothing wrong, but was inexplicably treated as an alien. Because of this, he was born with an intuition that Giratina was not wrong. So he was also looking for Giratina, and by chance, they bumped into each other. A group of people began to show sympathy again, and began to wonder if this society is too harsh on superpowers. When Catalina in the audience saw this scene, her body trembled, and inexplicable emotions flowed in her eyes. Staring at the movie closely, watching Giratina and I, two equally rejected lives come together. At first, Giratina also rejected I, but in the end, after all kinds of tests, one person and one pet, they became best friends and supported each other. Seeing this, the audience in the venue smiled one after another. That's how it should be. The opening movie should have a happy ending. However, it is obviously too early for everyone to be happy. Because, not long after, a black Lugia flew out of the Rainbow Rocket Team's base. Fluttering its wings and soaring, all of a sudden, the whole space shook, and endless storms surged, destroying the world. In the Orange Islands, the originally smiling Lugia suddenly turned from sunny to cloudy. Why died me, and died it so ugly? The audience was also surprised, and began to wonder what happened. Keep watching. I'll learn that the Rainbow Rocket Team has mastered a terrifying gene cloning technology. As long as they master some of the genes of the original creature, they can clone it perfectly. They use their own channels to find the feathers of Lugia and Ho-Oh, and the scales of Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, Dialga and other Pokémon. Using current technology, they completely cloned them. In addition, they repaired the weaknesses of the original Pokémon, and turned them into the natural enemies of their original corresponding mythical beasts. Mewtwo, who was watching the movie quietly in a corner, had a rich expression. Why is this plot so familiar? All the cloned mythical beasts were released by Sasaki, and under his control, they launched attacks on the existing alliance, constantly destroying and destroying, trying to build a new world. And they wanted to clear everything that was originally in this world. At the critical moment, the original mythical beasts of this world appeared one by one, and in order to protect this world, they launched the most powerful attack on their clones. However, these clones not only have similar powers to them, but are also specially set up for them. These original mythical beasts were all defeated. Kyogre was beaten into the deep sea, Groudon was stuffed into a volcano, and Rayquaza was beaten into a green caterpillar. Only Lugia was strong enough to die with the enemy, but there was no way to continue fighting. The whole world is in an unprecedented crisis. Destruction is imminent. Chapter 180 to Giratina, I'm still wrong. Sasaki's huge figure spanned the sky, and the whole world was trembling below him. What he had not done when he was alive, he did in the movie at this moment. Controlling the various clone beasts, attacking the whole world. The resistance forces in various places were almost collapsed, until they led the clone Palkia to the Pallet Town. The clone Palkia came here without saying a word, with purple energy surging in his arms, and a subspace slash was about to destroy the whole town. Giratina, who was sleeping in the Pallet Town, opened his eyes and looked at the clone Palkia who suddenly appeared, and was immediately furious. Dare to attack it? Are you tired of living? In anger, new and old hatreds came together. Giratina flapped his wings and flew up, turning into a shadow, with terrifying ghost power, rushing straight towards the clone Palkia. The red flame pine who controlled the clone Palkia was not surprised to see Giratina, but happy, thinking that he had seen a brand new prey. He immediately ordered the clone Palkia to attack Giratina. The two beasts fought, but the result was unexpected. Giratina easily defeated the clone Palkia. It was a complete crushing posture. The spatial ability that could restrain the genuine Palkia could not restrain Giratina. After a fierce battle, it was the entire team of the Red Flame Pine that was easily wiped out by Giratina. Giratina, who was searching for how to torture Yu in the reversed world, saw this scene and showed a comfortable emotion in his eyes. That's right. It should be my strength to crush Palkia with one foot. The plot developed rapidly. The Rainbow Rocket team tried to rule the world. They collected the genes of beasts from all over the world, but they did not collect the genes of the exiled Giratina, so they could not restrain it. Therefore, Giratina became the only hope to save the world. But Giratina did not want to save these humans. Until Ae gave it psychological counseling and instilled chicken soup. My life is in my own hands. Everyone should be in control of their own life, and only oneself is the master of oneself. Screw his bird life. Arceus, what is that? He said you destroy. Is it destruction? After a mental brainwashing, Giratina began to think about life and resolutely realized the philosophy of life. On the eve of the world being ruled, when all the mythical beasts were defeated, Giratina stood up. With his own strength, he fought against all the cloned mythical beasts, with fewer enemies and more enemies, and finally won a great victory. Everyone was stunned, looking at Giratina in the sky. It seemed that endless brilliance bloomed on its body. Is that the eternal brilliance of the entire era? Yu didn't know these people's doubts, otherwise he could answer them then. No, it was just a special effect. Now he is just thinking about the next plot, whether Giratina will be satisfied. The movie is almost over when it is played here. This movie actually has a very simple plot. After all, it is just a movie with a limited length, and it must be easy to understand, and it must promote positive energy so that it can be played in the Champions League, and most importantly, it must please Giratina, so there are not many stories. Next, it was the scene that Giratina had been dreaming about day and night. Team Rainbow Rocket was defeated, and Giratina saved the world and became a hero of mankind. Humans were delighted, erecting statues and temples for Giratina to worship forever. They presented the most precious delicacies. 108 delicacies from all over the world. Rays of light shot straight into the sky. Most of the mythical beasts defeated by the cloned mythical beasts flew over. It was like celebrating world peace, and it was like expressing gratitude to Giratina for saving the world. Then, in the southern sky, the Phoenixo flapped its wings, and dyed half of the sky red with flames. In the eastern sky, Rayquaza roared and came. Although there was no grass type, when it came, half of the sky behind it also turned blue. Dragons and phoenixes danced together. Then Dialga and Palkia appeared together, and time and space were reversed. Then, Zekrom, Reshiram and other mythical beasts appeared together. But they came from afar, and were located all around. Giratina sat in the center C position, eating delicious food, and overlooking all living beings. The final scene freezes. Giratina and Lugia share the food, and all the other mythical beasts seem to dance to celebrate. Then the film ends. A group of viewers are immersed in such a scene, and they can't wake up for a long time. After all, for most of them, these mythical beasts are rarely seen in photos. Not to mention their exclusive special moves. After a long while, the first one to react was Mewtwo, who replaced Lily next to Yu with his superpowers and flew over. What? Yu looked at Mewtwo. These Pokémon are real, right? Mewtwo said. Yes. Yu nodded. So you want to die by filming this? Mewtwo said. A group of mythical beasts were defeated by clones, and then defeated by Giratina, and finally came to celebrate. Are you really not afraid of being beaten to death? Then will you protect me? Yu said. Let me ask you, why are the ones made by humans stronger than the originals? Mewtwo said. Because you are stronger than Mew. Yu said solemnly. Mewtwo looked at Yu seriously for a few times, then his superpowers shone, and he disappeared again, replacing Lily. What happened just now? Lily said blankly. It's okay, Mewtwo just switched places with you. Yu said. But Mewtwo's question just now is very critical. Is it really okay for you to do this? Xiaoxu looked at Yu worriedly. Don't lose your life just to make a movie. Don't be afraid. Yu wanted to explain confidently, but suddenly felt the call of Giratina, and said to Jenga without explaining, come here. Jenga, who was playing games, floated over unwillingly, and then Yu jumped in directly. He searched inside Jenga and found a huge mirror and then used the mirror to jump to the reverse world in an instant. Little Yi, you've been floating recently. What did you want to do in the first half? Do I need you to save me? As soon as Yu entered, a pair of scollard eyes stared at Yu, full of dangerous aura. If it were someone else, even the king of champions would be afraid. But Yu had a calm face. He had been with Giratina for so long, and his ability to read people's expressions was at its peak. He could tell at a glance that this guy was secretly enjoying himself, because in the movie, he blew up a group of clones of mythical beasts. Not only was he not panicked, but he asked, "Are you satisfied with the movie effect?" "Satisfied, you big-headed ghost. Explain it to me, or I'll kill you." Giratina said. "Kill me? It's a huge injustice. I was thinking about you." Yu cried out in grievance. "What are you thinking about me? You were clearly praising yourself before." Giratina looked like you were trying to fool me. "I was thinking about you. Listen to me, this is a movie for you, so this movie can't be completely unrealistic just for fun, like Long Ocean style, without any plot, pure fun. You beat all the mythical beasts alone. Is such a movie worthy of you? Can we Giratina be such lowbrow creatures?" Yu said. Listening to Yu's generous words, Giratina's face actually got slightly hot. "Am I not such a creature? Giratina, tell me, am I right?" Yu said loudly. "Yes." Giratina said without hesitation, "I'm a creature that has escaped from vulgarity. Only Dialga and the others have this kind of thinking. Yes, so we should be logical, right? Humans have mastered the technology of cloning mythical beasts, and they are specifically restrained against those mythical beasts, and are invincible. And you are not restrained, because you are not in the real world. Is it reasonable?" Yu said. "Reasonable. These humans can clone mythical beasts. After mastering the laws of the reversed world, they attack you. You are not a match for the time being. Is it reasonable?" "Reasonable. See, it's all reasonable, right? Then you use the power of humans, use humans to deal with humans, and solve all the power of the reversed space. Without weaknesses, you can beat everyone. Is it reasonable?" "Reasonable. That's all reasonable. What's wrong with me?" Yu asked loudly. Giratina's momentum weakened, and it took him a long time to say, "Even so, why should I be exiled? It's a movie. Shouldn't we talk about the plot, the theme and logic? Shouldn't we sublimate our thoughts? Only when two people who have done nothing wrong, but are excluded, are together can the society resonate and care for people with superpowers. And my fate is in my own hands. I can change my fate against the will of heaven. What a grand idea. How bad would it be if I had no ideas at all? Do you want to watch a rubbish movie? In order to make this movie, I blackened so many mythical beasts. Do I have it easy? You're still mean to me." Yu yelled back at Giratina. Giratina's momentum completely weakened, and he said with a lack of confidence, "You did a great job this time, and you deserve encouragement. Otherwise, I can act as your temporary Pokémon and play this Champions League for you and help you win the championship. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183. Don't panic. Help me fight. Yu was stunned. He didn't expect Giratina to do this. Of course, you humans, don't you say that. If you enter a Pokeball, you are a Pokémon? Can't I enter your Pokeball? Then, after the fight, I can come back. Giratina said. It's impossible to apologize to Yu. I'm the master, and I must have the demeanor and dignity of master. I can't let the little one be spoiled and arrogant. But if you don't apologize, you can give me a reward. I will help you fight a game. Anyway, my strength has almost recovered now, and even if all the Pokémon of humans come together, they can't withstand a claw of mine. I will win you a championship and make you happy. That's fine. Yu's eyes lit up. He didn't expect that there was such an operation. Okay, come on, get a Pokeball and pretend to be me. Giratina said. Yu reached out to take it, but after thinking about it, he shook his head and said, "Forget it, let's wait until the next Champions League." Huh? Don't you want to win the championship? Why are you running around to train? I'm helping you, and you're not happy? Giratina asked curiously. It's because I've put in enough effort that I want to try it on my own. Yu said that using Giratina is like using a cheat in a game. It's fun, but it's not necessary. If this was just a game, Yu would still consider it. But this is not a game, but something that concerns Yu's future development. Not to mention, he has put in so much effort for this game. If he uses a cheat now, then the efforts of Raichu and the others will be worthless. Using me means you're not relying on yourself. There are billions of humans. Who else can I look up to except you? Giratina said dissatisfiedly. Yes, I know you are good to me, Giratina, so I have to cherish you. I don't need to do anything for trivial matters. Why do I need a Quintero knife to kill a fire chicken? Yu smiled. At least I don't need it now. If I can't take it down when I'm 18 years old, I will use a plugin. Forget it. Fight well and don't embarrass me. You are mine, one and only. There is nothing to be afraid of. After this movie is released, whoever dares to find you, I will blow it up. Giratina said proudly. Yu nodded. In fact, he was not panicking. Although he died a lot in the movie, but he still left some ways for himself. First of all, these mythical beasts, they did not lose to Giratina, but lost to human special research and development. This was specially developed by others for them, not a war crime. Of course, they may not buy this. However, the mythical beasts are basically isolated from the world, otherwise how can they be called legendary Pokémon? They can only be seen in legends. How many of them will watch movies? None of them watch. Secondly, even if a small number of people saw it, what does it matter? As long as Giratina is happy, it's fine. Giratina is not the strongest Pokémon, there is no doubt about that. But now there is a very serious problem. There is no good Pokémon stronger than it. Arceus fell into a deep sleep. Necrozma, half dead. Hooper was sealed. Finally, the legendary Pokémon of the Galar region, Infinite, is not only still sleeping, but also Yu is very skeptical about its strength. Although it has the highest race value in the game, it was stuffed into the red and white balls during the development of the story. Moreover, it was defeated many times by the two great beasts of the Sword and Shield in the Galar region. Compared with the same level, it is not at the same level at all. Arceus' origin is incomplete. The stone tablets are not complete, but he can still almost kill 3 Giratina. Necrozma is insufficient in energy, but it still kills Solgaleo and Lunala. Therefore, except for the possibility of super evolution and surpassing Giratina, Rayquaza, Giratina is invincible at this moment. There is no way those who are stronger than it have been refuted. If it is not invincible, who is invincible? Not to mention, Yu did not play the above legendary beasts at all for the sake of insurance. Moreover, Yu wrote that the clone defeated the original. This is to please Mewtwo again, right? Didn't you see that Mewtwo left very happily? Although these clones were defeated by Giratina later, this is not a malicious smear, but a fact. Mewtwo really lost once. Mewtwo will not care about this, it will always only care about Mew. At the same time, he did not let Lunala appear on the screen. This is also a personal favor. In addition, the light and heat of the ultimate world still need Yu's help, so Lunala will definitely stand on Yu's side. And Lugia, although it was defeated, Yu gave it a result of mutual destruction, and it became the only one to eat with Giratina, so it may not hate it. In this way, Yu is always protected by 2 or even 3 or 4 first level legendary beasts. Yu, what are you afraid of? Although Yu is naughty, he will never seek death. Finally, with Giratina half happy and half guilty, Yu came out of the reverse world, just when the opening ceremony was over. He followed the main group and swore an oath together, stating that he would not use any tricks in the competition, and would be above board. Looking at the trainers who also came for the Champions League, Yu's eyes were really full of fighting spirit. He wanted to see how far he could go with his own abilities. He also wanted to see how strong these trainers who might be of the same generation or different generations were. What Yu didn't know yet was that a forest fire suddenly broke out in a certain area of Johto. Fortunately, the Blastoise fire brigade arrived in time to prevent the fire from spreading. Some people said that in the flames, they had seen a colorful rainbow and the figure of the Phoenix King flying by, but no one could confirm it. As time passed, it gradually faded. It became one of the many rumors about the Phoenix King. Instead, many days later, a boy in a hat got lost again in a routine way. In the vast white fog, the boy lost his way and even separated from his two companions, with only a Pikachu. Continuing to move forward in the fog, he saw a scene that he would never forget in his life. A lion wearing a crown, strong and powerful, bathed in flames, whose roar could cause a volcano to erupt. A wolf that was elegant and noble, light and elegant, purifying all the filth of time, as if it were the most sacred existence. A saber-toothed tiger that was domineering and powerful, with surging electricity and thousands of lightning flashing in its movements. Of course, there was also the supreme in the flames. A toucan flashing in Yu's eyes, a big turkey in Giratina's eyes, a god in the boy's eyes, proud, noble, and warm. No one knew what happened on that day, but after that day, the Phoenix King had its fourth messenger. It was also the first human messenger, walking the world on its behalf, and seeing the ugliness of the world. And a long time later, there was suddenly a big movie in Johto that was played at the opening ceremony of the Johto League, called The Legend of the Phoenix King. Chapter 184 Champions League First Battle. I wonder if the first match will be exciting? Don't get excited. According to the convention of previous years, the first match is for the rookie champions who won the championship this year. It won't be very exciting. That's right. According to the convention, the 6 regional champions of Kanto, Johto, Hone, Sinnoh, Unova, and Kalos will fight each other. In the morning, it's all rookie matches, so it won't be very exciting. That's why we let these champions pass one round in order not to discourage them, but they basically can't pass 2 rounds. Who won the championship for several years? Champions League, the first big match. The game is about to start, and the audience sitting in the venue are talking about it. Some who have seen it several times are popularizing the newcomers, and welcoming a wave of admiring eyes. On the left channel, Yu walked out slowly, looked at Lee K opposite, and said, I didn't expect that the opponent in the first game would be you. Kanto vs. Johto, it's really deadly. I didn't expect it either, but it's better to be eliminated by me than by others. After all, we are a family of Kanto and Johto. Lee K said. That's right, so have a good journey. I'll cheer for you as well. Yu smiled and looked at Lee K. The game begins, and contestant Yu will go first. The referee made the decision. Yu took a Pokeball from his waist and said, Absol, win the first victory for me. Absol came out of the Pokeball, and its sickle-shaped black horn shone brightly in the sunlight. You are courting death by using a Pokémon of the Dark type in front of Master of Dark type like me. Luna, defeat it. Lee K threw out the Pokeball, and a Pokémon with jet black hair, blood red eyes, and multiple golden rings on its body jumped out. You'll know after the competition. Absol, lightning flash. Yu shouted, and Lily had collected all the information about Lee K. Luna, one of the evolutions of EV, is dark type, high level elite level, with a rough personality and extremely aggressive. Luna, let's use lightning flash too. Lee K shouted. Absol and Luna acted at the same time, turning into 2 rays of light, and violently collided with each other. Absol exerted force on all 4 limbs, and in the collision, he pressed over the Moon Elf, and knocked the Moon Elf away with force. The Moon Elf let out a low cry in the air. Obviously, in terms of strength, Absol is stronger than the Moon Elf. Moon Elf, right now, poison. The failure of the first collision was beyond the expectation of leaving. According to the information, everyone should be about the same. But the champion of Johto was not bought with money after all. The professional quality is still there, and the most correct instructions were issued at the first time. The hair on the Moon Elf in the air vibrated and sprayed out a burst of purple venom. Absol, shadow clone. Yu said calmly. In the absence of a fulcrum in the air, it can still emit poison so well. Lee K is worthy of being an expert in training evil types, and has cultivated the Moon Elf very well. Even as an opponent, Yu has to admit this, but the gap in strength is there. And the Moon Elf, how to say it, is a Pokémon that subverts theory in practice. Theoretically, the Moon Elf has high double defense and strong physical strength, suitable for being a meat shield, and then using tricks such as poison to disgust people. But the problem is that the Moon Elf is evil. Most evil Pokémon can basically be associated with the word domineering. Rogue Crocodile, Rogue Panda. Among Pokémon, the only two Pokémon named with derogatory words are both evil. The Moon Elf has a bloodthirsty and domineering side in its personality. If you let it get beaten, it will kill you first. Of course, race is only a reference, and personality is only the majority. The world is so big that there are all kinds of subversion. But obviously, this Moon Elf is a normal Moon Elf, the domineering kind. Absol's figure swayed, and in an instant, a dozen clones appeared, and the Moon Elf's poisonous attack only hit nothing. Absol, destroy the death light. Yu shouted. There was orange-yellow light condensing in the mouths of countless Absols, and a beam of light filled with destructive power burst out, heading towards the Moon Elf. Moon Elf, hold on. Lee K shouted hurriedly. This move must not be taken, otherwise, it will die. The Moon Elf held her head with both hands, and her whole body was covered by a green light shield. Absol's destruction death light hit the light shield, knocking the Moon Elf away, and falling to one side. But the light shield dissipated, and the Moon Elf stood in place, unscathed. Obviously, Absol's ability was not enough to break the theory of holding absolute defense. Moon Elf, good opportunity, evil fluctuations. Lee K said happily. After the destruction death light, her body was stiff and difficult to move. The purple-black energy fluctuations on the Moon Elf's body flashed, destroying all the clones of Absol, and hitting Absol's body. Absol's body shook slightly and was hurt. Moon Elf, good opportunity, keep flashing. Lee K said. The Moon Elf ran quickly, turned into a black light, and rushed straight to Absol, trying to continue to inflict damage. Chop it. Yu's voice sounded immediately. Absol flew out, with white light shining on its forelimbs, and chopped hard at the Moon Elf rushing towards it. The Moon Elf was pressed to the ground with one palm. The Moon Elf was in great pain, and struggled hard under Absol's feet, but like Sun Wukong under the 5-element mountain, it could not turn over. Now, destroy the death beam, Yu said. Absol faced the Moon Elf under its claws, and the destruction beam full of destructive power in its mouth condensed and exploded, hitting the Moon Elf under its feet accurately. After the roar, the Moon Elf fell to the ground powerlessly, revealing a pair of big circle eyes. Moon Elf, lose the ability to fight. The referee made a verdict. It's really fast? In the audience, they watched the game and said, generally speaking, when players compete, there will be many opponents to observe. If they are strong, Yu and Lee K are not much cared about, so not many people come. After all, no rookie champion has ever achieved good results in the Champions League. Everyone has similar talents. The older ones have a few more years of preparation opportunities. Why would they lose? But Day, the seeded player, came here on purpose. After all, there is a gap in strength. That Absol is also at the Qua-seeking level. Densey said. According to the data, Jenga is the strongest, followed by Dragonite, plus the Raichu we saw before, which means that at this age, there are at least 4 Qua-seekings. In a few years, he will definitely have a place in the 4 Heavenly Kings. Day said. But this has nothing to do with us. After all, everyone is in a different region. Denji said. Hey, don't act like you are already kings. Liho said dissatisfiedly. It's not wrong to look forward to it. And there will definitely be a place for me in the 4 Heavenly Kings. Day said confidently. It's hard to say, the competition is full of masters. Sharona said. She also came, not interested in Lee K, but interested in Yu. Chapter 185 Houndoom's Strength. Come back, Moon Elf. Lee K took back the Moon Elf, took out the second Pokeball, and said with concentration, pour all my enthusiasm, go ahead, Houndoom. A red light flashed, and a black dog with curved horns jumped out, swinging a black tail like a messenger of hell, with a triangular tip. Houndoom, it's it. Yu's eyes did not change. Houndoom, with dual attributes of fire and evil, is also one of the only 2 Qua-seekings in Lee K's hands. Absol, keep up the good work and defeat it, Yu said. Absol nodded and shouted provocatively at Houndoom. Houndoom sprayed a stream of hot air from its mouth and was also very angry. Houndoom, surprise attack. Lee K quickly issued an attack order. Houndoom turned into a black light and suddenly appeared in front of Absol. A stream of evil energy on its claws slashed and hit Absol. Chop it open. Yu Yu's voice also sounded immediately, and Absol's front limbs flashed white light, and it also quickly hit Houndoom. The two special moves hit at the same time, and the two Pokémon were opened at the same time. Jet Flame. Air Slash. Lee K and Yu Yu's voices sounded at the same time. Houndoom and Absol had just stood firm when they each used their special moves. Houndoom spewed out a red column of fire, and the flying energy on the black horns of the sickle on Absol's head flashed. Countless air blades flew out and fought fiercely in the air, and energy explosions were heard from time to time. They were equally matched. Absol, Shadow Clone, a flash of lightning. Yu Yu said. Absol immediately moved at high speed, running towards Houndoom at a high speed, and at the same time, transformed into many clones, real and fake, making people unpredictable. Roar loudly. Lee K remained calm, not confused by the Absol in front of him at all. If he couldn't tell them apart, he would solve them together. Houndoom immediately let out a sharp and long howl. A sharp and piercing sound came out of its mouth. Black sound waves spread and covered all Absol. The clones immediately collapsed, and the Absol itself was also beaten back and suffered damage. I'm really itching to do it after watching this. Day couldn't help, but said in the audience. Although the Pokémon on the field were still a little bit weaker than him, they were close, and he wanted to practice on his own. Your game is tomorrow. Why are you in such a hurry? Denji said unhappily. But it's interesting. Their tactics are also good. The lightning flash plus the shadow clone, and the loud roar to break everything, all have the style of my past. Day said. That means they are not as good as you now. You are so shameless to praise yourself in disguise. Denji said. To be honest, I'm excellent. However, Yu Yu is in trouble, so the Z move will be soon. I haven't seen the evil attribute yet. Day showed an expectant look in his eyes. He came to watch Yu Yu's game, on the one hand, out of the care of the senior for the junior, and on the other hand, he really cared about the Z move. He went back and checked it out that day and found that Z moves have multiple attributes, and he wanted to see it with his own eyes. However, Sirona showed an expression of disbelief. Although she was also looking forward to Z moves, it was obviously not the case that she would use Z moves in the current situation. Iroga, keep up the good work, use all your strength, and roar loudly. Lee K said excitedly. Yu Yu collected Lee K's information, and Lee K also collected Yu Yu's information, including Absol's information. A person whose innate talent is close combat, but is good at long range attacks. And roaring loudly, in addition to causing direct damage, will also reduce the power of the opponent's energy attack. Iroga roared loudly, with a piercing sound, and black sound waves swept around. Absol listened to Hiroga's sharp roar, his face gloomy, so ugly, and so loud, even uglier than the love song that Jenga sang to his girlfriend. Roar. Absol let out a low roar, each one more violent than the last, and finally purple light burst out of his mouth, and wonderful notes burst out from his mouth, and a black halo bloomed, and everyone in the entire venue was enveloped by a magical power. Song of Destruction. Yu Yu, who was about to command Absol, never thought that Absol would comprehend the Song of Destruction at this time. The Song of Destruction, as the name suggests, is to destroy people, and it attacks a large area. Anyone who hears the song will be affected. At first, it will be fine, and these songs are even beautiful, but once you listen to the whole song, all the beauty will turn into fangs of attack. Achieve a terrifying one-hit kill. And it is a one-hit kill in a group. Before the Alliance developed a protection mechanism to isolate this sound, it was even listed as a banned move of the Alliance, and was not allowed to be used at the conference. Iroga, use Flame Fang and attack Absol at close range. Yu Yu knew the effect of the Song of Destruction, and Lee K knew it too, and immediately issued an order. Once the Song of Destruction is finished, it is extremely powerful, and can kill enemies of the same level instantly. Even enemies of higher levels may not be able to withstand it. However, the weakness of such a powerful trick is also obvious. It must be finished. So put the Pokémon back into the Pokéball, temporarily stop listening, or attack at close range to interrupt the singing. The flaming fangs in Houndoom's mouth turned into a black light and headed straight for Absol. Absol, split it! Yu shouted, and Absol stopped singing. Its front limbs shone with white light, and it swung upwards like a blade, hitting Houndoom's teeth head on, breaking the flames in Houndoom's mouth, and knocking Houndoom away dozens of meters. Why did Absol's power suddenly increase? Day asked in the audience with a puzzled look on his face. Just now, Absol and Houndoom faced each other head on, and each took a move from the other. It was clearly evenly matched. How come it was killed instantly with one move now? Absol's strength has increased too much, which is totally unreasonable. Every Pokémon participating in the competition has been checked. It is impossible for them to take medicine. The only explanation is that something happened to Absol that we don't know about. Densi said. Aren't you talking nonsense? Day said unhappily. Could it be that? It shouldn't be. Isn't that a characteristic of Windy Dog? Lihua muttered to herself, full of doubts. What did you say? Day looked at Lihua strangely. Nothing. I guess I guessed wrong. Continue watching the game. Lihua shook her head and didn't answer. Do you still want to watch? Now Absol basically crushes Houndoom, and you only used one Pokémon, while your brother has two. Unless there is a miracle, Yu has already won. Day said. Then let's wait for a miracle. That's my brother. Lihua said proudly. Day looked strange. Is there still a chance to turn defeat into victory? Houndoom, go to sleep. Lee K shouted. Lying on the ground, the dying hound heard the command and immediately lay on the ground to rest. He quickly fell asleep, and a green light flashed on his body. His condition improved at a speed visible to the naked eye. Sleep? Day frowned slightly. There was nothing special about this. It was just an ordinary skill. It would take time to restore all of his physical strength and return to his peak state. This time was enough for Absol to chop Hound into pieces. Absol split it quickly. Yu's face changed, and he thought of a possibility. Absol ran quickly and hit Hound with one hand. A powerful force burst out, but it just hit and knocked it away. Before he could make up for the second move, Hound woke up and roared loudly again, roaring Absol away. How is it possible to wake up so quickly? Lily and a group of students in the Pokémon school were puzzled. Get up early, Xiaoxu said seriously. What do you mean? Lily was still confused. Although she was a top student, she lived in a luller after all, and didn't know much about the Pokémon in Kanto City. It's Houndoom's characteristic. Houndoom has a special habit of getting up early and going to bed late, so it wakes up easily. Even if it is hit by a sleep trick, it will wake up quickly, and the quality of its sleep will be very good, although it is short, so the same is true when using a sleep trick. The recovery time is directly halved, Xiaoxu said. So now Houndoom's physical strength has recovered? Lily and the others were surprised. They rarely see such tactical coordination. How can they defeat it? Chapter 186, Strong Ending. Now you know how powerful I am, right? My Houndoom is invincible. Lee K looked at Yu with pride. The characteristics of sleeping and waking up early, not bad. It's a very good trick. Yu said, worthy of being the opponent of the Champions League. It is indeed very strong. Stronger than the one encountered in the Quartz Conference Finals. This tactic is not in the data. It should be invented by Lee K during this period. So, give up. Lee K was still proud. Give up. That's too early. Pokémon are not data. You can't sleep infinitely and get up infinitely early. If you play like this, Houndoom will definitely collapse. Yu pointed out Houndoom's weakness incisively. But before it collapses, your Absol must be defeated first. Lee K said confidently. Really? Absol, you are underestimated. Yu said. Absol rubbed the ground with its claws, and his eyes became more and more unhappy. Then come and defeat my Houndoom first, Houndoom Flame Fang. Lee K shouted. As you wish, first. Yu said. Houndoom's fangs were blazing, biting towards Absol, but Absol dodged calmly and cleverly. Chop. Yu said. Absol roared, and its front limbs shone with white luster. Then it pounced down quickly and powerfully, knocking Houndoom to the ground. The powerful force even made the ground tremble slightly. Sleep. Lee K decided to repeat the trick. But Houndoom didn't fall asleep this time, and was chopped by Absol again, completely defeated, and collapsed to the ground with powerlessness. Houndoom has lost its ability to fight. The referee on the side waved the flag calmly and made a judgment. Although the tactics are good, even if the sleeping time is shortened, you still have to sleep. If you solve it now, won't everything be fine? Yu said. How could your Absol have such strong power? It didn't have it at all during the first battle. Lee K looked at Yu in disbelief. How could Absol's power suddenly become so strong? If you want to know, wait until the game is over. Come to me and pay me, and I'll tell you. Yu smiled. The reason, of course, is that you have your characteristics, and I have mine. Absol, characteristic, Heart of Justice. When attacked by evil attributes, although it will also suffer damage, unlike the characteristics of starting fire and storing water, it can be completely immune to attribute damage. But it will also increase its own attack power. A surprise attack, evil fluctuations, 3 loud roars. Absol's attack ability has been increased 5 times. As long as he seizes the opportunity, how can he not blow up Houndoom? Of course, Lee K didn't know this, and he couldn't be blamed. After all, the evil attributes were just released this year. Then there is no way to talk about this characteristic for the evil attribute. Moreover, the Heart of Justice is not directly immune to attribute damage like starting fire, so the probability of being discovered is further reduced. However, it is worth mentioning, there are only a few Pokémon with the Tray of Justice. The rest of the Pokémon with this tray are the Justice Beasts in most regions such as Kanto and Johto, the best partners of Junsa, the Caterpie family, the Warrior of Bodeo, the Messenger of Justice, the Ancient Heritage, the Handsome and Righteous Lucario, the Ancient Noble, the Etiquette Style, evolved from Curlier, who pays attention to etiquette even in battles, the Sought After Alido, and the 4 Night Beasts who patrol the land and guard peace in Unova. They are all the embodiment of justice. Only Absol is a disaster beast. Then let's talk about it after I win. Lee K said. Still want to win? Yu looked at Lee K. Are you kidding me? Next is the key to victory or defeat. Only by defeating it can you be considered to have defeated me. Come out, my best partner, the tyrant of the desert, Bangira. Lee K took out a Pokeball, and a red light flashed. A huge monster with a green body and a hideous face, as if wearing rock armor, appeared on the field. The moment it appeared, endless dust surged around, and visibility decreased rapidly. Bangilla. Seeing Lee K's trump card, Yu's expression also became solemn. Basically, this guy needs no introduction. A quasi-god of Johto, a rock plus evil, who can be compared with Dragonite. Last time in the Johto tournament, he defeated 3 people and won the final championship for Lee K. In terms of strength, he is a quasi-king and the top one among the quasi-kings. Okay, Absol, you've worked hard, come back first. Yu picked up the Pokeball and took back Absol. After 2 consecutive battles, although Absol won both times, it was also seriously injured. It can still fight against elites, but it is far behind Bangilla, who can dominate among quasi-kings. Then, Dragonite, come on stage, make your first appearance in the Champions League, and let it know who is the best beast in Kanto, the real beast. Yu took out Dragonite's Pokeball, a flash of red light, Dragonite's wings fluttered, and it flew into the sky. In an instant, dark clouds gathered automatically, and heavy rain poured down, and all the wind and sand fell around. Dragonite flew in the sky, soaring between the clouds, like a god. When Dragonite comes out, it rains. When did Dragonite's characteristic become rain? Day asked curiously. Not only that, Day, look at what's on Dragonite's forehead. Densi said sharply. Day looked over quickly, and then said in shock, isn't that the blue bead that only Haxorus has? How can this Dragonite have it? Did it dig it out from another Haxorus? Densi's expression instantly became extremely strange, and then he subconsciously moved away from Day. Before you speak, can you think about it first? Another unique result. How many special Pokémon does this guy have? Sharona frowned slightly. That Mewtwo was one, and there was also the particularly naughty Jenga. Now there was a Dragonite. Was he favored by Arceus? Dragonite? Lee K also looked at the bead between Dragonite's eyebrows in surprise. Theoretically, there shouldn't be one. Dragonite, Thunderous. Yu shouted. Dragonite roared, its wings vibrated, and terrifying lightning swam between the clouds like a roar of electric dragons. The whole audience was filled with a terrifying atmosphere. The audience seats, which were originally a little noisy, suddenly became silent, shocked by this power. Lee K and even Sharona in the audience seats were concentrating on the next trick that Dragonite might use. After the mutation, will the Pokémon have a new trick? How strong will it be? Boom. With a loud bang, or thick and strong lightning bolt, under the influence of rain, struck Bangula forcefully, with great momentum and real thunder. Bangula, evil wave. Lee K reacted and ordered quickly. A purple-black energy ball full of destructive power condensed in Bangula's mouth and hit the Dragonite in the sky. Just as it soared into the sky, it was pierced by the thunder head-on, and smashed to pieces. The thunder continued to strike down with endless power, hitting Bangula. Bangula let out an angry scream. When he had not evolved yet and had the dual attributes of rock and ground, what were these lightning bolts? Who would have thought that he would be struck by thunder after evolving? Iron Tail, solve it, Yu said. Dragonite's eyes were sharp, and his long tail shone with white light. It fell from the sky and hit Bangula. With a bang, Bangula fell to the ground. Chapter 187, Yashida's solicitation. What is the effect of that thunderbolt? Day looked at Densei and said, as an expert in the electric system, even if it is a new trick, he can judge the approximate effect based on his rich experience. This is Day's trust in Densei. From the trajectory and the particularly strong hit on the rainy day, it should be just thunder. Densei laughed. Just thunder? Day was surprised at first, showing a wry smile, and then laughed. So Lee K was fooled? That's right, and it's not just him, but also us. Densei shook his head. Isn't it because he is a kid, young and should be honest? But I didn't expect him to be so bad. Day said. After all, he is from a ghost family. If he is not bad, he is not cute. Okay, let's stop talking. I'll go comfort my stupid brother first. Lihua said, and stood up, and walked towards her brother. The psychological setback should be great after the failure of the first game of the Champions League. It's better for your sister to come over and let you feel a greater setback, so as to forget the setback of the Champions League. Lee K is unlucky. His Bangura, judging from its form and the power of its special moves, is not weak. It is already very close to the level of Aqua Seeking. If it weren't for Yu, if he had changed his opponent, he would still have a great chance of entering the second round. Day said. That can't be blamed on him. It's normal for him to lack experience at this age. It's not a disadvantage but an advantage. He has no experience and no constraints. He lost his sense of proportion when dealing with the thunderbolt. It can be forgiven. After all, lightning special moves are actually similar in many cases. For example, 100,000 volts and thunder. If used in a different way, the performance is the same. Densei said, the same goes for water guns and water cannons. To put it bluntly, isn't a water cannon just a water gun with enhanced power? But the more critical thing is Dragonite's strength. 2 hits destroyed Bangura, who has excellent defense. Although there is attribute restraint, he is also a real king. Sharona said. If it was Aqua Seeking, Bangura would never end so quickly. At the age of 11, he already has a king level monster, plus a Z move. When mentioning this topic, Densei's expression gradually became heavy, and he exhaled. Among the 4 people here, he is the weakest. Such Yu is qualified to threaten him to a certain extent. There should be more than one. Sharona said. Recently, that Jenga has dared to fight with Garchomp. Although it is still inferior, it can fight with Garchomp, and it is definitely a king level monster. More than one? He is only 11 years old. Densei was shocked. So far, he has only had one king level monster. Yes, but some people cannot be measured by common sense. These people are called monsters. Sharona smiled and got up from her seat. Her game will be tomorrow afternoon, and she has nothing to do today. As for the games of the other rookie champions, she is not very interested. It is better to go back and take a good look at her little EV, so that it will not be abducted by a ghost. Yes, monster. Day said as Sharona left. You are also one of these people. Day, accompany me to train. Densei said. Okay, I've been waiting for you to say that. You saw your strength ratio versus Infinape. Day also stood up, with a flame of fighting spirit burning in his eyes, and walked towards the arena with Densey. See you next time at the Champions League. Yu took back Dragonite, said hello to Lee K, then turned and left, walking towards the Pokémon. After a big battle, it is necessary to take care of the Pokémon. Although Dragonite was not actually injured, that game was almost a crushing game, but living in the Pokémon Center is like maintenance. Yu handed the Pokéballs of Absol and Dragonite to Miss Joy, and sat in the lobby, to wait for the two Pokémon to recover. At the same time, he reviewed the whole process of the battle just now, and reflected on his own shortcomings. Although he won 2 against 3, and there was no loss, Absol fought 2, and Dragonite easily killed it in seconds. But if it wasn't for the deliberate calculation, bullying Lee K who didn't know the characteristics of Absol, Absol wouldn't have won so easily. But Absol learning the Song of Destruction was a pleasant surprise. In this case, Black Eyes can be arranged into Absol's study plan. These one-hit kill tricks are not powerful enough without Black Eyes, which can prevent Pokémon from escaping. Black Eyes, Shadow Clone, and Song of Destruction should be about the same. After constantly thinking in his mind, Absol's new plan has roughly taken shape. At this time, he suddenly heard a commotion outside. Yu looked up and saw a middle-aged fat man with a fat body, wearing a loose coat and black sunglasses, talking to Lihua and her brother enthusiastically, but Lihua and her brother were obviously impatient. After Yu saw the fat man clearly, his expression was very strange. He stood up and walked outside and said, "Uncle Yashida, why are you here?" "Huh? Yu, you are here? I thought you were still watching the game in the venue." The fat man, also known as Yashida, said strangely. "Yu, do you know him?" Lihua said strangely. "I know him, Uncle Ashida, the founder of the Battle Frontier," Yu said solemnly. Although this fat man is not good looking, the big guys love the plain looks these days. Chairman Damalanki, the president of the Pokémon League, can be said to be the most powerful big guy, but he hangs out with kids every day, and those who don't know him will definitely just treat him as an ordinary old man. Yu is not very clear about the specific origins of Ashida, but one thing is certain, he is very strong. It does not refer to the strength of the trainers, but the financial power. He is a good friend of his own aunt, and has gathered outstanding trainers from all over the world to form a challenge ceremony outside the Alliance, the Battle Frontier. Invite famous trainers from all over the world to become the pioneer brains, just like gym trainers, but their strength is generally stronger than gym trainers, and they will not hide their strength, just go all out. The strongest leader of the Battle Frontier, Kamishiro, even has 3 pillars. It can be said that in some way, he has established his own alternative alliance, and the alliance allows it to exist. Battle Frontier. What is it? Lee K said. That's a place with many powerful trainers, and there are even trainers who are not inferior to the 4 Heavenly Kings, so I strongly recommend you to go, Yashida said with a smile. Then go challenge? Lee K said. Yes, it's just a simple challenge, another kind of ritual. If you are good, I can also let you be the pioneer brain. According to your needs, I can give you a large enough area, with a monthly salary starting at 100,000, and there is no upper limit. Yashida smiled, and his face was originally full of flesh, and with such a smile, even his eyes disappeared. Aren't you a liar? Lee K said in disbelief. Absolutely not, isn't there Yu as a guarantee? Yashida smiled. Of course he is not a liar. These will be given, and there will be no deductions at all. It's just that as the pioneer brain, you will also be marked with his mark. Yu raised his eyebrows slightly, inexplicably became a guarantor. Lee K looked at Yu seriously, as if thinking that Yu's guarantee was reliable, and finally nodded and agreed. Thank you. After Lihua and her brother left, Yashida said to Yu, "It's a small matter, I didn't do anything." "But, Uncle Yashida, are you here to poach people?" Yu said. "Of course, there should be no other place in the world that can gather a group of powerful trainers more than the Champions League. And there are only 5 champions and the 4 Heavenly Kings, and the remaining 59 people are all candidates for me to poach," Yashida said proudly. "That's right, see you then. I'll go back and watch the game," Yu said. To Sharona and the others, these players are not threatening at all, and there is nothing to see, but to Yu, they are still worth watching. No, Yu, how about you also consider coming to fight me in the frontier? Yashida said with a smile. No, I still want to be the champion. Yu waved his hand and returned to the Pokémon Center, ready to go to Absol and Dragonite, and then go back to watch the game. Yashida did not persuade him again. After all, Yu was not short of money. Chapter 188 The Birth of Vulpix. In the next round, Yumino. In the next round, it's Sano and Manus, and finally Sharona. Yu said, looking at the game situation displayed on the display screen in the hall. There are a total of 64 people participating in the Champions League, divided into 4 constituencies. The 4 seeded players will be placed separately to avoid early elimination. After that, let the strongest players selected from the 4 constituencies fight with the existing 4 Heavenly Kings champions to determine the new 4 Heavenly Kings and champions. And the eliminated quarterfinalists, if they are confident, can also challenge the trainers who have become the 4 Heavenly Kings and champions. Now after a round of elimination, the situation of the next game is basically clear. If Yu beats 2 more people, he can enter the quarterfinals and get the opportunity to challenge the 4 Heavenly Kings. Yu's goal has been basically achieved, and he can go home and lie down, and then study the possibility of Giratina's super evolution. Then, after a few more years of training, he will officially challenge the 4 Heavenly Kings of Kanto to see if he can become the champion before the age of 18. So, I'll wait for you in the semifinals. Sharona, who was also watching in the hall, looked at Yu and said she had never thought that she would be in the same division as Yu. Then wait for me and see how strong the limit of the Libite land shark is. Yu smiled. For now, he couldn't beat any of the 4 seeded players, so the result would be the same, no matter who he met, but he would lose anyway. Losing to the strongest, who was also a beauty, was more or less comforting. Okay. Sharona smiled and nodded, her golden hair fluttering, and turned to leave. The expressions of several people in the same division as Yu and Sharona were somewhat uncomfortable when they heard this. These 2 people made this competition seem like it belonged to the 2 of them. Some laughed it off, some criticized it in their hearts, and some were angry and annoyed. A 2-meter tall muscular man walked up to Yu and said with disdain, "Boy, you haven't even grown all your hair yet, and you want to make it to the quarterfinals? Don't be so wishful thinking. In the next round, I will let you know what failure is. You are so shameless. Go back and eat for a few more years before coming to the Champions League." Yu's eyes were slightly cold, and he glanced at the muscular man. Hey Yi. That is Yu's opponent in the next round. In the original Pokémon Champions League forum, the proposed strength ranking was 20. Yu glanced at him and vaguely remembered that he was a Pokémon bounty hunter with a rough personality. What are you talking about? Yu is stronger than you? You are the one who should go back to eat? Lily said unconvinced. Haha, you are really a coward who has not even grown all his hair yet, and you still want to hide behind a woman. Hey, I mocked wantonly, pointing his finger at Yu and said, a trainer who just won the championship this year and has never even traveled, wants to enter the quarterfinals. You are really daydreaming too much, right? Yu looked at Hei's outstretched finger. His eyes became colder, one hand stretched out like lightning, and then threw Hei, a 2-meter tall strong man, to the ground with an over-the-shoulder throw. The belief that the Champions League adheres to in recruiting is to teach everyone without distinction and to be inclusive, so as long as you have the ability and no obvious criminal record, you can participate in the league conference and the Champions League, but things like laws are just the bottom line, so there will be many cats and dogs in the competition. To deal with such people, just beat them up. Stinky boy, are you looking for death? Hei was furious, and he stood up and punched Yu immediately. In terms of physique, as a bounty hunter, he was never bad, but he was actually knocked down by a child and felt that he had suffered a great humiliation. Yu clenched his fist, and the ghost power surged, instantly covering Hei's whole body, and Hei could not move. Say it again. Yu flicked his finger, and Hei fell straight out. Defeated by the ghost power, Hei stared at Yu with a bit of disbelief and fear and said, are you a human or a Pokémon? This has nothing to do with you. You just need to know that during the game, I will make you kneel down. After Yu finished speaking, he took Lilia and Xiaoxu and left. The league venue is strictly controlled. You can't fight again, otherwise it will be more trouble than gain. When the game comes, there will be plenty of opportunities, and there is no need to rush at this moment. Damn it. Heiyi's eyes were spitting fire. How strong can someone who has never traveled and just became a champion be? He made a promise shamelessly, but he dared to take action. Well, wait until the game starts, and you will know what strength is. That person is so annoying. After leaving, Lilia still couldn't help complaining. When traveling, you will always meet all kinds of people. Some are happy companions, and some are annoying. We can't change the world, so we can only change ourselves. Don't care too much about these people and ruin your mood. You should pay more attention to happy things, such as your Vulpix, which should be hatching soon. Xiaoxu smiled. She has been alone since she was a child, so she is no longer surprised by such things. The world is big, and if you go to see this world, you will inevitably meet some very strange people. Yes, Gun is about to come out. Lily was immediately diverted and filled with joy when she mentioned her elf egg. As she spoke, the elf egg that Lily had been holding in her arms suddenly emitted a strong white light, and the air around it began to emit tiny ice crystals. Hatched. This thought immediately emerged in the minds of Yu and the other two. They quickly stopped their actions, walked aside, and watched the elves hatch quietly. After a flash of ice light, a white six-tailed fox appeared in front of Yu and the other two. Its ice blue eyes were crystal clear and extremely clean. As soon as it appeared, Lila's eyes turned into stars. She reached out and hugged the six-tailed fox, doting on it. Six-tailed, the newly born six-tailed fox, also loved Lily. Pokémon are extremely magical creatures. Many of them can sense the outside world before they are hatched. It can sense a kind of intimacy in Lila's body. It is a relative. So cute. Yu also praised. Most of the Pokémon in Alola are not very good looking, but the six-tailed fox family has fought through the siege and can basically compete for the top 3 Pokémon appearance. In Yu's opinion, it is even better looking than the fire six-tailed fox in Kanto. Six-tailed Yu wanted to touch it, but the newly born six-tailed fox did not indulge him and sprayed a cold current at Yu. Yu was helpless. Pokémon has just been born and has a certain resistance to the outside world. You scared it? Xiaoxu said. Yes, Yu scared Gun. Go away. Lily AI was like protecting a cub, holding Liu way away from Yu. Huh. Yu's expression was stunned. It shouldn't be like this. Didn't we say that we are best friends? With Liu, I'm despised. Next, the newborn needs to be cared for. Leave it to me. Xiaoxu said. No, Sister Xiaoxu, I want to help Gun myself. Lily AI said. Okay, I'll teach you. Xiaoxu said. Okay, thank you Sister Xiaoxu. Lily AI smiled like a flower. As the two talked, they picked up Liu and walked towards the room, preparing to wash Liu, talking and laughing. Beautiful. Only Yu stood behind, with a helpless look on his face. Did you forget something? With a long sigh, Yu suddenly remembered a sentence. When a woman has a child, her husband is just an ATM machine without dignity. Now, he really cares. Although Liu is not a child, he is not even a boyfriend. Chapter 189. Yu, sing again. Little baby, are you ready to lose miserably? Yumino looked at Yu arrogantly. You really think you haven't fought enough, right? Yu said. Is there really someone who only remembers to eat and not to fight? Isn't it just a superpower? If the Champions League didn't prohibit private fights with Pokémon, it wouldn't be so easy for you to attack me. Yumino said disdainfully. The game officially begins. Yumino will release the Pokémon first. The referee pretended not to hear what the two said and said calmly. Little baby, accept the cruelty of reality. Desert Dragonfly. Yumino threw the Pokéball, and a green Pokémon with a flying dragon form, but insect compound eyes flew out. Looking at the Pokémon released by Yumino, Yu nodded slightly, which was almost the same as expected. The Pokémon trainer rankings on the Pokémon forum are based on all the official competition results of the trainers. So for some people, it will be inaccurate. Like Yu, He only has the record of participating in the Kanto conference, so in the initial ranking, he was only ranked 60th, which is the last. Now that he has successfully advanced, he has only risen to 25th. Many people think that Lee K is too weak, so Yu seems to be strong. But in most cases, it is still quite reliable. According to the information, Hei is a Pokémon trainer specializing in dragons. His three main forces are the ground-based dragon-like Desert Dragon, the flying dragon-like Tanabata Bluebird, and the pure dragon-type Double Axe War Dragon. All of them are Quasi-King level Pokémon. Especially the Double Axe War Dragon, its attack power has reached the level of the King, but the other 5 indicators are still only at the Quasi-King level, so if it encounters the King level, it will be defeated by targeting its weaknesses. But this was 2 months ago in the open tournament, and Yu does not know whether it has improved yet. Absol, it's still you, go. Yu threw out Absol and said, Absol, a weak Pokémon. The desert dragon flaps its wings and flies high. Let it know. Use the sandstorm. Let it know what power is. Hei said. The pair of wings behind the desert dragon flapped violently, and the sand and dust suddenly rose around, and a huge sandstorm covered the entire field, even blocking the figure of the desert dragon. Although it does not have the characteristics of sand hiding, it is very easy for Pokémon like Desert Dragonfly to use sandstorms to hide itself. Absol, calm down, feel the movement around you, and then attack. Yu said. The sandstorm has too strong obstruction. If Absol attacks rashly, the hit rate can be ignored. It can only find the first. Others can't do this, but Absol can. In terms of sensing, Absol is second to none. We saw that contestant Kano took the initiative and created a huge sandstorm to cover himself. Contestant Yu had no way to deal with it. He could only let Absol stand still first, but he found the real desert dragonfly and then attacked. The commentator explained the basic situation. In such a battle, where you don't move, and I don't move, the commentator must liven up the atmosphere. The audience around looked at the huge sandstorm created by Desert Dragonfly, and many people showed joy on their faces. The bet was right. I told you that one of them just got a Pokémon a few years ago, and the other has been traveling for 12 years, and has won the championship for several years. The gap is so big, it must be Yumino who wins. My money is not wasted. Right, the rankings on the Pokémon forum show everything. One is 15th, and the other is 25th. There is a gap of 10 places. It is definitely Yumino who wins. You bet too? There was a lot of discussion in the audience, and some voices reached Yumino's ears. Yumino's mouth curled up slightly. He also betting 600,000, almost all his savings. If it weren't for the fact that he was scared by Yu before, he would even want to borrow money to buy it. After all, in his heart, this is a sure win. Okay, now, Desert Dragonfly, make a noise. Yumino shouted. Desert Dragonfly immediately screamed, and a sharp and piercing sound came out of its mouth. The sand around it shook and turned into streams of sand to attack Absol. Absol's expression became more and more uncomfortable. It appears Yumino's best sound trick, using all kinds of sound tricks to defeat the opponent. Yu seems to be completely helpless. Can he fight back? Said the commentator. Absol, natural induction, destroy the death light. Yu said. Absol looked up, and the orange-yellow light beam in its mouth condensed, turning into a fierce light beam, and shooting in one direction. Energy burst out, and almost at the same time, a scream sounded from that direction, and the sand and dust around it stopped. What? Seeing that Absol actually hit the Desert Dragonfly, Yumino's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly said, Desert Dragonfly, hold on, control your body quickly, and then use sound to control the sandstorm around you. The strong voice of the Desert Dragonfly came from inside, followed by the Desert Dragonfly's continuous sharp cry, controlling the surrounding sand and dust to attack Absol, while the body moved at high speed, looming in the sand and dust, making it even more difficult to track. Yu's expression was serious. As expected, those who could enter the Champions League were not weaklings. Although Heiyu was annoying, his strength was indeed not to be underestimated. Using sand to attack the opponent was similar to ZOZHI's return punch shield in the future. At the same time, such sand could also protect himself. Absol's destruction and death light were weakened a lot. In fact, if it wasn't for carelessness and choosing Absol as an opponent, the previous attack might not have hit. Use sound to manipulate sand. Yu suddenly smiled and said with a slight smile, Absol, Song of Destruction. Absol immediately began to sing, light flashing, and purple-black sound waves spread outward. There is still this trick. Heiyi's face changed slightly, and he hurriedly said, Desert Dragonfly, increase the sound wave to the maximum power, completely suppress the sound, and then use the sound wave to induce the sand to attack. The Desert Dragonfly attacked quickly, vibrating its wings, and then shouting with its throat. The sound wave continued, trying to break the sound wave with the sound wave. Absol, hold on, keep singing, Yu said. Absol's eyes were firm, and he stood there, motionless, allowing the sand to attack. I sang my song, and the whole Pokémon was almost covered by the sand. The time for the Song of Destruction was about to arrive, and the Desert Dragonfly appeared next to Absol without any warning. Dragon Claw. Break. Heiyi roared loudly, his expression a little out of control. Do you think you can win like this? Let me show you what the rich experience of the training master is. The Desert Dragonfly flew out, its claws shining green, surrounded by dragon power and hit Absol. Oh my god, it turns out that Heiyi not only attacks with sound waves, but also uses sand as a cover to attack personally. It's amazing. The Desert Dragonfly can shuttle freely in the sand, just like a fish in water. Is there any way for you to use Absol? The commentator said excitedly. Absol, now is the time. Hell thrust. Yu shouted. Absol, who had been singing the Song of Destruction, stopped immediately and quickly fought back. A dark light flashed in his claws. His body was hit by a dragon claw, but one claw hit the throat of the Desert Dragonfly. Both were injured and retreated at the same time. Yu couldn't help but curl up his lips. It worked. Little baby, is your reaction fast enough? But it's useless. The Song of Destruction can't be sung. Let's see what you can do. Heiyi said proudly. Yes, it's a bit difficult for Absol to sing the Song of Destruction successfully, but can you sing it? Aren't you the best at sound tricks? Sing it for me, Yu said. Don't know whether to live or die. Desert Dragonfly, use the sonic boom to collapse the sandstorm. Heiyi shouted, and he could already foresee the victory of the game. He used the sonic boom and the sandstorm to give a fatal blow. But this time Heiyi didn't hear the familiar voice, but heard the painful hoarse voice of the Desert Dragonfly. Absol, destroy the death light, Yu said. Roar. Absol's destructive power gathered in his mouth, and an orange beam shot straight into the sky, hitting the Desert Dragonfly in the air. The Desert Dragonfly fell straight to the ground, creating a huge deep pit, and rolled its eyes. The Desert Dragonfly has lost its ability to fight. The referee made a timely ruling. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190. Please call me Miranguiao. It turned out that Desert Dragonfly lost. After being hit by Absol's special move by Yu, Desert Dragonfly seemed to be unable to use the sound special move. What happened? The commentator's surprised voice sounded. As a commentator, his job is to explain the special move characteristics of Pokémon to the audience. After all, most of the audience are just interested in Pokémon, and it is inevitable that they can't remember the special move characteristics. So commentators are needed. However, the embarrassing thing now is that the commentator himself doesn't know what is going on now. And at this time, the professional ability of the commentator must be seen. Novice commentators often fall into a panic for a while at this time, but this commentator, as a commentator of the Champions League, is already a mature commentator. So, after whetting the audience's appetite, he changed the subject and said, let's ask Dr. Yamanashi to answer. As soon as the voice fell, the camera turned to Dr. Yamanashi, who was with Dr. Oak. And when the camera turned, Dr. Yamanashi's originally serious face looked even worse. The commentator was witty. He thought that as a doctor, Dr. Yamanashi must know everything about Pokémon. But in fact, he thought too much. Dr. Yamanashi is also a human being. He really didn't know this trick. Fortunately, at this time, Dr. Oak took over the conversation and said, Hell Stab is a trick discovered by Alala. It has not been registered in the league yet, so no one knows. For the specific effect, please let Dr. Kuki, the regional doctor of Alala, answer it. The cousins are in Alala, and Dr. Oak has some understanding of Alala's tricks. After hearing what Dr. Oak said, the organizers immediately started looking for Dr. Kuki. It was just embarrassing that they didn't find him. Or, Dr. Kuki took the initiative to stand up first, and the camera found this regional doctor. You just use the Hell Spike, a special move discovered by us in Alala. According to experiments, it is an evil attribute special move with great power, similar to the wave missile, and it has a special effect. Anyone hit by this special move will not be able to use sound special moves within a short period of time. Listening to Dr. Kuki's broadcast, everyone suddenly realized the reason. So there is such a special move, which is specifically used to restrain sound. In this way, those who like to use sound will suffer in the future. I didn't expect there is such a special move. Alala, I went there when I was traveling. Wasn't it just for tourism? So there is such a situation. But Yumino lost. It's okay, there are still two. The audience around talked a lot, and many audiences who had never heard of Alala began to discuss this new place for the first time. Dr. Kuki was very relieved when he heard it. Guzma on the side curled his lips in disdain. They are all regional doctors, and Oak and Yumanashi are celebrities. You are not ashamed that no one knows about you. So that's how it is. You got the upper hand. But good luck won't always favor you. Come out, Tanabata Bluebird. Yumino threw out a Pokeball, and a blue bat with a pair of fluffy cotton-like wings flew out gracefully. Absol, come back. Yu took back Absol, and then threw out another Pokeball and said, Dragonite, play with all your strength. A red light flashed, and Dragonite flapped its wings, coming with a violent storm. Yu's Dragonite is different. It has the weather beads that only Hakron has, and its characteristics seem to have changed terrain characteristics. What should you do? The commentator explained. Tanabata Bluebird, Dragon Wave. Yumino attacked first. The dragon power in Tanabata Bluebird's mouth gathered, and a blue energy ball condensed out and smashed straight at Dragonite. Everyone has the dragon flying attribute, and no one has an advantage in terms of attributes, and the dragon attribute trick is also very effective against the dragon attribute. Dragonite, Storm. Yu said. Dragonite's wings vibrated, and a strong storm suddenly blew up. It encountered the dragon wave head-on, blowing away the dragon wave directly, and wrapped up Tanabata Bluebird with rain. Tanabata Bluebird was immediately trapped in the wind, and endured the strong airflow impact. Tanabata Bluebird used Dragon God Dive to break through. Kano said. Tanabata Bluebird's wings vibrated, and the energy on its body turned into a giant dragon phantom, rushing towards Dragonite ferociously, with great momentum, and actually broke through the shackles of the storm in one breath. Dragonite, get out of the way, use the most powerful storm, and keep the storm, Yu said. Dragonite's wings vibrated, turning into a residual image, easily avoiding Tanabata Bluebird's attack, and then the wings vibrated, and many air currents gathered in the air, and storms formed one by one. The airflow of the entire venue was chaotic, turning into a terrifying storm. Tanabata Bluebird was sucked away by the storm not long after the attack. Yu's Dragonite is really not simple to attack. First it brings rain, then uses storm. Not to mention that storm has a high hit rate in rainy weather. Yu's Dragonite covers the entire field with storm. No matter what Tanabata Bluebird does, it can't escape. Yu's Dragonite continues to use storm, which has infinite damage to Tanabata Bluebird. Wait, isn't this the tactic that Yumino used against Yu just now? After Yu cracked the tactic, he fought back beautifully? It's amazing. The commentator exclaimed. With such free control of storm, this game probably won't have much suspense. Day said in the audience. I just don't know if it was a temporary imitation, or if it was originally intended to be done, but it was just a coincidence. If it's the latter, it's easy to say, but for the former, I have to say it's a monster again. Densey said. You'll know when you see the next one. It's coming soon. Sharona said. Next one. Tanabata Bluebird. Oh, right, it's raining. It's time for the next one. Densey was surprised. Tanabata Bluebird was a quasi-king, and it had just appeared. It could hold out for a while, but when it was Tanabata Bluebird, he immediately understood. Tanabata Bluebird has wings as light as cotton clouds, which can allow Tanabata Bluebird to quickly rise with the help of air currents, and fly very high. But there is also a big disadvantage. It cannot meet water. If there is too much water, cotton will become heavy. So Tanabata Bluebird basically won't fly on rainy days. But now it's raining. Sure enough, not long after Sharona and the others finished talking, Tanabata Bluebird was forced to land because of too much rain on its wings. No, come back quickly. Hey, I also realized where the disadvantage was and hurriedly took out the Pokeball and wanted to take it back. However, the energy beam of the Pokeball was blocked by the flying energy of the storm. Unless he jumped to the center of the storm, it would be impossible to take it back. At this time, the victory was basically locked. Yu only needed to thunder to solve it. But Yu didn't. Instead he said, Dragonite continues to use the power of the storm. Control this airflow and gust of wind. Treat it as instinct. Believe in yourself. You can do it. If you can, I'll let you eat as much as you want. 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 Dragonite's eyes lit up all of a sudden, and he turned his head abruptly to look at Yu. Did you lie to me? Concentrate on the game. I'm not lying to you. Yu said. After getting Yu's affirmation, Dragonite's mouth immediately split to the back of his head, revealing a dog-like smile. What the Genji UI boss said is right. If you make a little more trouble at ordinary times, you can get delicious food. Originally, I wondered why Yu didn't let it use thunder. In this situation, thunder is obviously more appropriate. It's soaked all over, and one hit will kill. But after hearing the 3 words eat as much as you want, Dragonite no longer had any complaints or doubts at this moment. Eat as much as you want. Eat as much as you want. I'm happy to let you beat me up. Dragonite fought with all its strength, controlling the airflow around it, and a strong air pressure storm formed in the entire venue. Yu kept nodding his head. Originally, after Dragonite could control the weather, his plan was to let Dragonite practice thunder. Thunder on rainy days is almost certain to hit. He flies in the sky and constantly strikes people with lightning, which is almost a fatal blow to the Pokémon on the ground. At the same time, the appropriate current can also shock Dragonite itself, promote the development of Dragonite genes, and strengthen muscles. When necessary, Dragon Dance plus 3 punches can harvest everything. It can also cooperate with Raichu and Flame Horse, especially with Raichu. But Kano's Desert Dragonfly just now gave Yu a new idea. If Dragonite can control the airflow freely with one mind and 2 things, it is equivalent to creating a wind field, constantly causing damage to the opponent. In addition, when it rains, you can add water to the wind, which is more powerful. At the same time, water conducts electricity. If you add thunder, 1 move 3 consecutive, the king can be invincible. Of course, this is just an idea. It is very difficult to achieve. But young people are not afraid of anything else, but they are afraid of having no ideas. Practice more, and wait until the Champions League is finished, and then go find Lugia. Yu has seen his glorious years at this moment. Chapter 191 I bully you, because you can't fly. Kixie Bluebird lost the ability to fight. The referee gave the verdict. Kixie Bluebird finally lost the ability to fight, ending this long battle. What can Umino do next? The commentator said, breathing a sigh of relief. Something that could have been solved with a thunderbolt was dragged on for so long. The audience was also helpless and even complained. Oh my god, it's finally over. This game is so boring. No, don't you think this venue is cool? I've decided that I must capture a Dragonite in the future. Little boy, don't be so naive, you can't afford it. Oh my god, what's the point of watching this? I'm going to lose my money. Didn't we agree to be ranked 15th? How can I lose like this against a 25th? Yeah, what a shitty genius. In the audience, there were all kinds of complaints, and some even bet on Umino and scolded him. Umino's face was also very ugly. People always care about other people's opinions. Few people can endure the scolding of tens of thousands of people in the audience. What's more important is that he also bet a lot of money. If he loses, Yumino didn't dare to think about that result. With a serious expression, he put away the Tanabata bluebird that was thrown out of the battlefield by Dragonite with a storm, and then took out his last treasure ball, Double Axe War Dragon. Everything is up to you. The humanoid dragon Pokémon wrapped in olive green armor appeared together, and what was particularly eye-catching was a pair of blood-red teeth like axes. Dragonite, don't pay attention, keep blowing the wind, Yu said. Dragonite's wings vibrated, and the wind continued to blow, and gusts of wind blew. It wants to have a feast. As long as it can have a feast, no matter how hard or difficult the indicators are, they are all clouds. It wants to eat Arceus jumping over the wall. It is said to be delicious. But Giratina and the others don't give it to it. It must perform well. Double Axe War Dragon, show your strength and split the storm with dragon claws, Yumino shouted. The green dragon power on the claws of the Double Axe War Dragon flashed, and it confronted the storm head on, tearing a large hole in the air. It could actually tear the storm apart with its own strength. Amazing power. The Double Axe War Dragon of Yumino is worthy of being his strongest trump card. It is so powerful that the claws can tear apart the storm. This game has become unpredictable again, the commentator said excitedly. Everyone likes to watch a game with changes. Right, this is what a game should be like. Yumino, come on, try your best, don't lose to a child, it's embarrassing. Yes, although it's a bit embarrassing to fight a child, but I'm betting on you, come on. The audience, seeing this, also cheered for Yumino to work hard. Yumino cheered up a little. Dragonite, Storm, make the rain heavier, and do a dragon dance to exercise your body. But Yu's orders were still simple and rough, not luxurious. The Double Axe War Dragon has strong melee ability and close range attacks, which are even better than Dragonite. But, it can't fly. Since it can't fly, Dragonite just needs to be in the sky, that's all. What can you do to me? Dragonite's wings vibrated, and there was another fierce gust of wind. Several wind fields exclusive to Dragonite were about to form. Double Axe Dragonite, Sky Dragon Meteor. Hey, I shouted loudly. Double Axe Dragonite immediately looked up to the sky, and the dragon stream energy in its mouth gathered, and it sprayed out a golden energy ball, rushing straight into the sky towards Dragonite. Hey, I looked at you proudly. Do you think Double Axe Dragonite can only attack at close range? We can also do it at close range. Dragonite, use Scion Tail to hit the Sky Dragon Meteor back, Yu said without any confusion. Sky Dragon Meteor, the ultimate move of the dragon system. Project a huge energy ball into the sky, and then explode violently, turning into falling meteors, with powerful power. But before the explosion, wouldn't it be better to hit it back? Dragonite completed the dragon dance in the air. Raise the ability to the limit. Dragonite suddenly moved, appearing in front of the Dragonite energy ball as if teleporting, and then its long tail shone with a bright white metallic luster, and it slammed down, reflecting the Dragonite back at a speed faster than it shot up, and hitting the Double Axe War Dragon. The Double Axe War Dragon was unable to dodge, and was hit directly, almost falling to the ground. That's it, Dragonite, continue to control the airflow, and continue the storm, Yu said. Dragonite nodded, and the storm continued. The entire venue was covered by the storm again. Double Axe War Dragon, don't give up. Dragon Wave. Ki still refused to give up, and commanded the Double Axe War Dragon to counterattack. The dragon energy ball in the mouth of the Double Axe War Dragon condensed, and was thrown out again, but this time, it was even worse. Before it could be thrown to Dragonite, it was blocked by the storm and disappeared directly. Just as I thought. Dragonite, blow the wind as you want, Yu said. Dragonite's wings vibrated, speeding up the frequency of the wind. With the blessing of the flying energy, the wings seemed to have grown larger. The Double Axe War Dragon roared on the ground, and howled at the sky, but, it couldn't hit it. Contestant Yumino tried very hard. Contestant Yumino's Double Axe War Dragon was also very powerful. He had defeated two Quasi-King level Pokémon of the opponent in a row, and even split a waterfall with one claw. However, flying Pokémon are too advantageous in battle, especially those that can manipulate air currents. There is actually no need for too much commentary for this game. If there is no miracle, then contestant Yu has already obtained a ticket to the top 16. This also reminds the subsequent contestants that, if they can't deal with contestant Yu's Dragonite, they will be like contestant Yumino. In addition, it is worth mentioning that contestant Yu has only used 2 Pokémon, Absol and Dragonite, from the preliminary round to now. His third Pokémon has not yet appeared. Contestant Yu is likely to become the biggest dark horse of this Champions League. Is it possible for him to become one of the 4 Heavenly Kings? If he does, then he will be the youngest of the 4 Heavenly Kings in history. The commentator explained diligently. In the audience, many viewers who lost money were indignant. More were really moved by the host and looked forward to Yu's performance. With Yu's current ability, he is already very close to the level of the last top 4. But this year's Sinnoh is different. Except for the Ground King Kiku, the other 3 kings and the champion have retired. So if he becomes the top 4, Yu will be a stable top 4 king. Break the record. Then won't they witness a miracle? If the gap in strength is not big enough, do you have a suitable way to crack this trick? Day asked, always feeling sympathetic when looking at the miserable state of the Double Axe War Dragon. Hey, I is fine. 2 of the 3 Pokémon can fly, but the embarrassing last one just can't fly. But all his Pokémon can't fly. If my electric field and electromagnetic floating theory are true, it's just right for a battle. Rainy days are the most suitable days for thunder. Denji said. His Pokémon can't fly either, but the electric type is originally designed to restrain a group of flying Pokémon. If it's a Pokémon that can't fly, they can only use the move of digging holes to harass each other. But this is only for the current situation. Sharona shook her head. The current situation? Miss Sharona, what do you mean? Day said. Yu's Dragonite can not only control the storm, but also thunder and lightning, and this rain. Moreover, Dragonite is called the incarnation of the sea, and has many water-based skills. If I'm trained, I will combine the power of water, electricity, and wind into one force, so that even if it is digging a hole, it can be dealt with. Just fill it with water. If the ground-based ones can't bear it, they have to come out, and the rest of the types can also be drowned to death. Sharona said. Day looked at Sharona, then looked at the flying Dragonite, secretly shocked. It is obviously a kid whose strength is not as good as his. Why do I feel so much pressure? Chapter 192 asking about Lugia's hobbies. Double Axe Dragon lost its ability to fight. Yu won the final victory in this match, and advanced to the top 16. The commentator made the final commentary, and announced the end of the match. The audience gathered in groups of 3 or 2, most of them were cursing Yumino for making them lose money. Yumino himself was pale and bloodless. He lost all his money, and was completely bankrupt. Dragonite, you've worked hard. Come back and have a good rest. Yu took the Pokeball, and took back Dragonite. A battle inspired Dragonite's new battle plan. It was worth it. He left the competition field, and did not immediately meet up with Lily and the others, but walked towards Professor Oak. Xiao, you played well in the game, and discovered new abilities of Dragonite. Professor Oak praised Yu with a smile on his face. It's just some ideas. If you want to complete them, you still have to work hard. Yu said. Young people are afraid of having no ideas. If you have ideas, just do it. Everything has your grandfather Oak to help you. Professor Oak smiled, thinking about Dragonite's battle just now, and there was a little envy in his eyes. Hakron doesn't have such a strong ability to control wind and thunder, and Dragonite doesn't have the ability to control wind and thunder. Although his Dragonite is strong, it can only take the attack route, amazing speed, and kill with 3 punches. Unexpectedly, Yu's Dragonite can freely control the weather to this extent. So, I'm here to ask Grandpa Oak for help. Yu said. Sure enough, you little brat, you just don't ask me for nothing. You must have something to ask me. But I'm really curious, is there anything you need my help with? Professor Oak scolded with a smile. I want to find some professional scholars in Johto who understand Lugia's personality and hobbies to learn about Lugia. Yu said. Looking for Lugia? You won't say that Dragonite's ability to control the weather was given by Lugia. Professor Oak was old and cunning, and he reacted immediately. Of course, who else has this ability besides Lugia? Yu did not deny that there were not many people he could trust, and Professor Oak was definitely one of them. You and Sasaki are really a perfect match, Professor Oak said with emotion. Sasaki? What does this have to do with Sasaki? Yu asked curiously. Nothing. Wait until you meet Sasaki, then we'll talk. Professor Oak sighed and inexplicably thought of his grandson. They grew up together. Why do the two guys have such good fortune, but my grandson doesn't? Is he not as smart as Yu, or not as stupid as Sasaki? Yu didn't care and said, then Grandpa Oak, can you help me contact him? Although I can find someone at home. Many people in the academic world are very noble, not short of money, have strange tempers, and have abilities. It is difficult to ask them if they don't want to help. It is better to ask Professor Oak. After all, in the academic world, Professor Oak is a professional boss and has many friends. Let me think about it. There are not many people in the Johto region who study the myths of the mythical beasts. Apart from a large part of those who study the Phoenix King, they are basically concentrated in the Whirlpool Islands, the sea god temple that worships Lugia, and Dana, who was born in the Whirlpool Islands. I'll contact you and give you a reply as soon as possible, Professor Oak said. Okay, please trouble Grandpa Oak, Yu said. It's just a small matter, but even if I ask, it may not be really useful. After all, to put it bluntly, if they can really build a good relationship with Lugia, they will not just do theoretical research, but become friends with Lugia directly, Professor Oak said. It can be used as a reference, and it will also be convenient for me to make another movie. Yu smiled. It should be very happy for Lugia to beat Kaiga. Let's say Kaiga stirs up trouble, and then Lugia stabilizes the sea. Or, just make a series. Let's say that they were defeated by these clone beasts. Groudon and Kaiga suffered heavy losses, and they had to absorb the power of heaven and earth to recover, and then they fought, and Kaiga was beaten down by Groudon. After a while, Kaiga went crazy, and made trouble again, and then was beaten by Lugia again. Although I feel sorry for Kaiga, there is nothing I can do. Lugia is right in front of me, and Yu needs Groudon's power more. Where are you going to put the next movie? Professor Oak said. In the next Champions League or regional conference, talk to President Damalanchi. We can always talk, Yu said. If it goes well, maybe Lugia will be happy and let Dragonite be the god of wind. Speaking of race value, Dragonite is higher than the 3rd level god. It's hard to say. I know Damalanchi best. You use the credit of Team Rocket to exchange for the opening of this movie. If you want the opening of Johto next time, you also need credit. It's not that easy to talk. Unless you win the championship of this competition, Damalanchi may give in for your genius, Professor Oak said. Champion? Grandpa Oak, this goal is too difficult. I can't do it. Yu smiled bitterly. This year's class is full of monsters. Based on your current performance, can you really not do it? Up to now, you are the only one who hasn't shown your trump card. Or is it that Sirona is so strong that you are so scared? Professor Oak said strangely. Grandpa Oak, do you think I can beat Do now? Yu asked instead of answering. Defeat Do? What are you dreaming about? It's impossible within 3 years. The fastest estimate is 3 years. If it's slower, 5 years. Professor Oak said. What if Do is about the same age as Sharona? Yu said. That's hopeless. Do's strength, like his height, has not improved in the past few years. Professor Oak said that it is difficult to improve the strength of Pokémon after they reach the perfect form. Okay, Yu nodded. If you said there was a chance, I might have been more enthusiastic. Forget it now. Just fight for the 8th place. Say goodbye to Professor Oak and turn away. Professor Oak frowned slightly, looked at Professor Yamanashi and said, is Sharona strong? On the same level as Do. He is in Kanto and Sharona is in Sinnoh. They don't have much contact with each other. Ping played a private friendly match with her and decided to retire after the match. What do you think? Professor Yamanashi said. What? Professor Oak was surprised. Ping, the previous generation Sinnoh champion. Few people know about that match, except the 2 parties involved. It's normal that you don't know, but what I'm more curious about is why Yu knows Sharona's strength so well. Dr. Yamanashi asked curiously. Maybe they are all monsters, and monsters understand monsters. Dr. Oak said. Dr. Yamanashi nodded and agreed with this answer. Yu and the two doctors separated, but Dr. Kuki came up and thanked him. Yu, thank you for showing Alala's moves here. I just showed what I learned in Alala, and Alala is really good. I think it's also good to establish an alliance. Yu said. Health Rust is the specialty of Dr. Kuki's Blazing Roaring Tiger and Guzmarama Warrior. Absol learned it from this. Then I'll treat you to this meal today. Eat whatever you want as a thank you. Dr. Kuki said. Okay. Yu agreed readily. Yu never refuses when others treat you to a meal. Chapter 193, The Coordination Trainer from Home. The afternoon sun was just right. After enjoying a sumptuous lunch, it was time to have a good rest. Yu and his group were lying on the chairs leisurely, the golden sun shining on them, so comfortable that they even wanted to sleep. The Pokémon also left the Pokéball and played freely outside. In the sun, the flaming mane of the flame horse fluttered, and it was in high spirits. Although it had not played a single game so far, it was always in the best condition. Absol stood silently beside it, with deep eyes. Unlike the flame horse, it had fought until now, and was very tired and excited. The two mature Pokémon stood together, and there was a natural communication without too many words. The immature ones, Squirtle and Eevee, were running around Raichu. The three little ones were playing very happily, playing and fighting, full of energy. The full-fledged Dragonite was slightly envious, and then continued to squint, kick his legs, and lean against the tree, while holding Xiaoxu's Fire Vulpix and Lily's Ice Vulpix. The two Vulpix had slightly different personalities, but they both seemed to be at peace in Dragonite's arms. Until Gun felt a faint frost breath coming. He looked up in surprise and saw a cute ice blue Pokémon appear, revealing a joyful smile. Vulpix, the blue Pokémon that just came in, also called out affectionately. Gun jumped out of Dragonite's arms and took the initiative to approach this Pokémon he just met. This was the first Pokémon of the same attribute he had seen since he was born. The blue Pokémon played with it affectionately and liked this Pokémon of the same kind he just met. It looked very cute. Is this an ice Pokémon? Lily noticed the movement here and looked up at the Pokémon that was playing well with Gun and said in surprise, it's an ice Pokémon, but I don't know if it's wild or has a trainer. Xiaoxu said, it's easy to know this. Just throw a Pokéball and you'll know. If it has a trainer, it will automatically fly out. If not, it will go in. Yu said. But if it's wild, wouldn't it be a bit rude to just throw the ball? After all, it's playing with Vulpix. Lily hesitated. Then you decide for yourself. You can go ask, or just pretend you didn't see it. Anyway, it'll be fine with Dragonite around. Yu said as he lay back in his chair. Then I'll go ask. Lily stood up and said, if it's wild, let's talk about it and see if I can capture it. After being able to embrace Pokémon again, if she wasn't afraid of lack of energy, she would have wanted to collect all the Pokémon illustrated books at home. Speaking of Glacial, it's also the evolution of Eevee, right? Xiaoxu said. Yes, it evolves by standing next to an ice attribute rock. There's a special place in Sinnoh Edge City, Yu said. Then what type do you plan to evolve your Eevee into? Xiaoxu asked curiously. Leaflet. Yu said. This was decided not long ago. Yu showed Eevee pictures of Fairy, Sun, Glacial, and Leaflet, and asked Eevee to choose which evolution type to evolve into. Then, Eevee asked which attribute could learn photosynthesis and survive without eating. Yu pointed out that it was a leaf sprite. Then Eevee decided to evolve into a leaf sprite. It didn't quite meet Yu's expectations. He was more looking forward to a fairy sprite or a sun sprite, but Yu had no choice but to respect Eevee's choice. After all, the life after evolution is Eevee's own. Xiaozu nodded slightly and began to calculate in her mind the changes in food tastes and accommodation conditions after Eevee's evolution. Sorry, excuse me, is my ice sprite here? A gentle and magnetic voice suddenly sounded. Yu looked up outside the yard. A beautifully and exquisitely dressed, meticulous young man stood outside the door. His emerald green bangs still revealed a hint of melancholy. Hearing the trainer's voice, the ice sprite, who was playing well with Gungan, suddenly jumped towards the young man with joy. The young man took it and hugged the ice elf, saying with a hint of doting, "You little guy, you are just naughty," and ran out secretly. As he spoke, the young man also said to Lilia, "Sorry to bother you, my ice elf didn't cause any trouble to you. No, it was playing with my white roller, and I was very happy. I should thank you." Seeing that the ice elf had a trainer, Lilia was a little disappointed, but she still answered immediately, "Really? White roller? Is it the special Vulpix in your hand? It is really a beautiful Pokémon. If it can participate in the grand contest, it will definitely shine." The young man smiled. Beautiful elves are not necessarily beautiful only in the grand contest. The beauty of being alone in nature is also beautiful, isn't it, Mr. Minus? Yu stood up and said, Mr. Yu, it's you." The young man looked at Yu and was stunned, then said, "Your game this morning was really wonderful. The shocking beauty of Dragonite's power is beyond imagination. Thank you for the compliment. Your game in the afternoon is only 1 hour away. When the time comes, I will definitely go to watch it." Yu smiled. Minus is his possible opponent in the next game. I will win this match, and then compete with Mr. Yu, and have a good battle with Mr. Yu's Dragonite. Minus said. I look forward to it as well. Yu smiled and looked at Minus. His next opponent would depend on the result of the afternoon match, but he felt that Minus was stronger. In the Pokémon forum, Minus ranked 10th. Born in the Hone region, he was the junior brother of the future Hone champion Mikali, and had at least 3 class Kings. And his opponent, whether in forum ranking or preliminary performance, was not excellent. Unless he made rapid progress in a short period of time like Yu, and deliberately concealed his weakness in the early stage, it could basically be judged. Minus also responded with a smile, polite and extremely cultured. After they separated, Lilia still had a great liking for him and said, "They are all opponents, but this one is much better than the previous Kano." "Yes, it is much better, but it may also be much stronger," Yu said, "a senior brother of a champion. People have to consider more. Moreover, a person who can win the championship in the gorgeous competition is different in itself. Normally, the strength of the coordinator trainers in the grand tournament is lower than that of the trainers who aim for the league conference. After all, one just wants to fight, and the other wants to show off. Their talents are similar, so of course the former is stronger. But if you can make it to the championship, it means that this kind of show is not a burden. Although it may not be stronger, it is definitely not weaker. And those who can do this are basically geniuses. Then watch the game seriously in the afternoon," Lily said. Yes, watching the battle between the coordinator trainers, whether they win or lose, is a visual feast full of beauty, not to mention that they are opponents, Yu said. Chapter 194 Minus's Strength. Champions League. The third round of the battle has officially begun. The players from both sides are entering the arena. Yu, the red player, is the dark horse player of this competition. From the beginning to the end of the competition, he has only used 2 Pokémon from the beginning to the end. It is currently known that he is an expert in using dragon Pokémon. Minus, the green player, is also considered a strong player in this competition. He is good at using water Pokémon, and uses gorgeous fighting methods to play with his opponents. His Minus is the most beautiful legend. Who will win the final victory of this competition, and who will become the top 8? Let us wait and see. Under the commentator's words, Yu and Minus walked onto the stage, both with calm faces, but the eyes looking at each other implied a touch of blazing flames. Win this game, you can advance to the top 8, become a candidate for the king, or acquire seeking. Similar to the ancient Chinese scholar, as long as there is a vacancy, there is hope to fill it. Even if you think you are strong enough, you can apply to the league to challenge the king of a region. If the challenge is successful, you can directly replace the position. If they lose, then this Champions League participation can be said to be fruitless. Contestant Yu releases his Pokémon first. The referee said, "I go first. It seems a bit unlucky. Raichu, you make your debut." Yu threw the Raichu Pokéball. Lady Raichu stood on the field, with electric bags on both sides of his cheeks flashing. It is indeed the electric type that restrains the water type, but I'm more than just the water type. I self make a gorgeous appearance. Minos kissed his Pokeball gracefully, and a burst of frost crystal light appeared in the dream. The audience cheered and marveled at the charm of the ice elf. Raichu heard the suddenly loud voice, and looked around with a little uneasiness. What happened? Raichu, I'm here. Yu's gentle and secure voice sounded behind Raichu, and Raichu was slightly determined and looked at the opposite side seriously. Seeing Raichu's reaction, Yu breathed a sigh of relief, coordinating the usual advantages of trainers. Gorgeous, enough to make the audience cheer and become fans. Therefore, when fighting against coordination trainers, the audience usually stands on the other side. If you exaggerate, for a coordination master like Mikali, the whole audience will cheer for the opponent. In this case, both the trainer and the Pokémon will be under great pressure. For those with poor psychological quality, it is good to be able to exert 50% or 60% of their strength. Although Raichu's strength has improved a lot, his psychological quality is indeed a bit deviated. Seeing that Raichu calmed down, because of Yu's words, Minos smiled slightly. It was a wonderful bond, but it also exposed its shortcomings. This Raichu had problems with its psychological quality. Raichu, electric field. Yu said. Raichu's eyes lit up, and the electric bag on his cheek burst out with a strong electric current. In an instant, it covered the entire battlefield. The strong electric current was pervasive, and the whole field was flashing with electric light. Electric field? Minos frowned. He was not familiar with this trick, that only appeared in the Kalos and Alola regions. However, with his rich experience, he judged that it should be a trick of amplification. He said directly, Ice Elf, hail. The Ice Elf made a low sound, and heavy snow fell from the sky. There were also small ice particles falling between the snowflakes. The Ice Elf was in the snow, jumping lightly, and its light body was looming in the snow. Snowhide. Yu's eyes moved slightly. The full name is Snow Invisibility. The instinctive ice attribute Pokémon trained in the tempering of nature is similar to the protective color of chameleons, which makes it difficult to detect. Raichu, if you can't see it clearly, don't look for it. 100,000 volts. Sweep the whole field. Yu said. Raichu nodded, and the electric bag on his cheek flashed strongly. The terrifying electric current burst out from his body, almost instantly spreading throughout the field, breaking through the snowflakes, and directly forcing the Ice Elf hidden in the snowflakes out. Ice Elf, freeze beam. Minos' command sounded in time, and the Ice Elf, forced out by the lightning, flashed blow light in its mouth, and a fierce ice light shot out fiercely, confronting the 100,000 volts of Raichu head on. But after a stalemate, the lightning power on Raichu overwhelmed the Ice Elf, hitting the Ice Elf, and knocking the Ice Elf away. Minos' pupils shrank. Even with the blessing, the attack power of this Raichu was beyond imagination. I'm afraid it has already approached, or even exceeded the lowest line of the king. Well done, Raichu. Use the maximum power of 100,000 volts to end it. Yu said. Minos, like his master Adam and senior brother Mikali, are trainers specializing in water-type Pokémon. Except for this Ice Elf, all the Pokémon in his hands are water-type. When dealing with water types, Raichu can go to heaven. Thunder Raichu saw victory was just around the corner, and shouted excitedly, the whole body of the electric current rioting. Dazzling electric light burst out, as if there were hundreds of watts of light bulbs. With a roar, the terrifying electric current like a thunder dragon swallowed the Ice Elf. The Ice Elf was oppressed by this terrifying power, and its body was stiff, and there was no escape. As its trainer, Minos said calmly at this time, mirror reflection. Yu's pupils suddenly shrank, and his face changed drastically, saying, Raichu, hurry, insert your tail into the ground. This Ice Elf can actually reflect in a mirror. Raichu was full of doubts. Isn't it about to win? But out of instinct, it still inserted its tail into the place first, and then think about this problem. Just when it was about to think, the Ice Elf's preparations were also completed. A layer of crystal light flashed on the surface of the Ice Elf's body. Raichu used all his strength to hit it with 100,000 volts. The Ice Elf showed a painful expression on his face, but stood up firmly, and then completely bounced back this terrifying energy. An electric current even more terrifying and powerful than before erupted, and the electric current in the entire space ran wild, like an electrical tide rolling in, covering the sky, and sweeping in all directions. Just like the ice spirit who had nowhere to hide just now, Raichu also had nowhere to hide and was forced to endure this ultimate move that was rebounded after being doubled and hit with fear. The energy critical strike, with Raichu as the core, the entire battlefield trembled as if there was an earthquake, and the smoke and dust flew, and the lightning was dazzling. Everyone couldn't see anything with their eyes, and it took a while before they regained their vision. Looking at the field, Raichu was covered in dust and looked embarrassed. What is this ultimate move? So powerful? It can actually beat the boss's Raichu. In the audience, Musashi said with a look of surprise. Mirror reflection is our ultimate move that can rebound the opponent's energy attack. I didn't expect Xiaoyao to have a bad day. Kojiro explained on the side. So powerful? If my Pokémon learns it, will I be invincible? I can use this ultimate move on anyone I meet in the future. I will become the queen, Musashi said. Your Pokémon can't learn it, Musashi. You don't have the talent to be a trainer. Meow. Meow said the truth mercilessly, and then Musashi punched him hard. You can still stand after taking such a strong blow. You are really amazing. Minus laughed on the stage. I didn't expect that your ice spirit has learned mirror reflection. Yu said, the information is fake. It was clearly defeated by Michaelis Milotic with a destruction ray in a gorgeous exhibition match a year ago. I can't help it. My senior brother is too strong. If I don't learn some special moves, I'm afraid I will never have a chance to beat him in this life. So I have to work hard to become stronger. Minus said. Michaeli? He is a very powerful trainer. When I go to Hone, I will challenge him. Yu said. Then I'll wait for you in Hone, but I'll defeat you first now. Minus said. Ice Spirit, Blizzard. The Ice Spirit's eyes widened, and a dark blue light flashed. Heavy snow fell in the sky and blew towards Raichu. Raichu, dig a hole. Yu said. It's too early to win him now. Although the power of the electric current is very strong, Raichu itself is an electric Pokémon with strong resistance to electricity. It also used its tail to transmit some current at the right time. The damage is completely within the tolerance range of Raichu. It's too naive to want to win now. You, the Ice Elf, can learn mirror reflection, which makes sense. I don't believe you can learn Earthquake now. Ice Elf, use Steel Tail on the ground. Minus shouted. The Ice Elf jumped in the air, and its tail shone with a bright white metallic light. It hit the ground violently, and the powerful force shook the Raichu out. Raichu panicked in the air, and stood on the ground with a painful expression on his face. The Ice Elf can't cause an earthquake, but it can achieve a similar effect. Minus smiled slightly, as if he saw through Yu's thoughts. You really don't look good when you smile. Yu said unhappily. This guy's not at the same level as the previous two opponents. Chapter 195 Domineering Jenga. I think it's fine. Minus still had a faint smile on his face. Ice Elf, give it the last blizzard. The Ice Elf shouted, and a cold current fell, and heavy snow came. Raichu, 80,000 volts. Yu said. Raichu's eyes were like lightning, and the current was surging. The terrifying current attacked the Ice Elf in one breath. The current and ice and snow competed to shine, and in the end, the current still overwhelmed the ice and snow and hit the Ice Elf. Ice Elf, mirror reflection. Minus said. The Ice Elf immediately stopped attacking, and the crystal light shone again on its body, rebounding Raichu's current back. Raichu, now, Volt attack. Yu said. Lei. Raichu quickly ran. His whole body was hit by electric current, turning into a flash of lightning, ignoring the distance, and instantly killed in front of the Ice Elf. The Ice Elf's mirror-fired electric current trick hit Raichu, but was completely absorbed by Raichu, turning into a stronger force of Raichu, and hitting the Ice Elf. The Ice Elf flew out like a kite with a broken string, and fell heavily to the ground, even more embarrassed than Raichu. Yu's mouth curled up slightly. That's it. The privilege of the electric system, absorbing electric current energy. Even the opponents, like Xiao's Pikachu, absorbed the electric power of the lightning cloud in the Unova region. Although the mirror reflection returned double, it was still electric energy after all, so it could be absorbed. As long as the power was weakened in advance, Raichu could absorb the rebound power. Raichu, that's it. The last burst punch. Yu shouted, burst punch, fighting to break the ice. Raichu jumped up, white light flashed in his hand, and he was about to end the Ice Elf with one punch. Charming. Minos suddenly shouted at the critical moment. The dying Ice Elf suddenly raised his head and blinked at Raichu. A pink breath leaked out, and an energy heart flew out and hit Raichu. The murderous Raichu was stunned and stood there stupidly, his face flushed. I don't know what indescribable things he thought of, and he was intoxicated, like a child who fell in love. I'm going to die. Raichu, wake up quickly. Yu Yu's face changed drastically. Charming, as long as the gender is opposite, can make the other party fall into a state of fascination, forgetting themselves completely. Even if they are beaten to death, they may not be able to react. In Unova, before Zyos's vine snake was captured, it almost slaughtered Zyos's entire team with this trick. It's useless. Once you fall into fascination, it's hard to wake up. Ice Elf, sucking kiss. Minos laughed. The Ice Elf stood up with difficulty, walked to Raichu, and kissed Raichu's face lightly. The green light shone, and absorbed Raichu's physical strength wantonly. It's bad. Dr. Kiku looked at this scene, and said with a heavy expression, "This opponent is really stronger than the previous ones. Doctor, didn't you say that charm can only be used successfully when the genders are different? You use Raichu is a female. Is that Eevee also a female? Such a cute Pokémon is also a female." Mao was surprised. Such a cute one is still a boy. Mao, you really should learn more about knowledge other than grass type Pokémon. The gender ratio of Eevee is 7 to 1, and on average, 7 out of every 8 are girls. Dr. Kuki said helplessly. Oh, but how did he know that Raichu is a girl? Did he guess it? He is really lucky. Mao said. No, it's not a guess, but a judgment. Raichu has gender differences. The tail of a girl's Raichu is different from that of a boy's. Dr. Kuki said. Really? Mao looked curious. She only cared about grass type Pokémon in class, and didn't care much about other things. Then Gardevoir is the best. Male ones evolve into a Lido, and female ones are Gardevoir. They are clearly distinguished. Mamane said proudly. Professor Kuki sighed, not having the strength to speak anymore. He suddenly felt that Alola should not hold a league. Lily, the only good student who knew that the ratio of male to female Gardevoir was actually 1 to 1, did not tell Mamane because she was worried about Raichu, and in the end, she became Mamane's pride. Raichu, come back. Yu took out the Pokeball and was about to take Raichu back. He couldn't wake him up, so he had to take him back first. Don't even think about it. Ice Spirit, Freeze Ray. Minos said. The Ice Spirit's mouth was cold, and it erected an indestructible ice wall with ice next to Raichu, burying itself and Raichu. Even the Pokeball couldn't take it back. After a long while, the ice melted, and Raichu fell to the ground in a daze, completely losing his ability to fight. The Ice Spirit was refreshed. Raichu lost his ability to fight, and Ice Spirit won. It's amazing. As expected of the champion of the grand tournament and the top coordinated trainer, he successfully defeated Yu Yu's Raichu, becoming the first opponent to defeat Yu Yu's Pokémon since the start of the tournament. Moreover, by absorbing physical strength with the absorbing kiss, Ice Spirit was almost unscathed. It's amazing. Faced with such a situation, what should Yu Yu do? Should he send out his Dragonite? The commentator made a voice like an afterthought. Come back, Raichu. Yu Yu took out the Pokeball to take back Raichu, and looked at Minos and said, although it's a competition, you let Ice Spirit and Raichu be alone in an ice house. What do you want to do? After winning this game, Minos thought of many things Yu Yu would say, but he never thought it would be this. He was speechless and laughed. Okay, the game is over here. My trump card has really not appeared for a long time. Jenga, come out to play. Yu Yu threw the Pokeball, and Jenga floated freely in the air. Jeng-GUI. Ice Elf, use the maximum power of Blizzard. Minos shouted. Ice Elf was about to explode, but before he could say anything, Yu Yu's voice rang out. Shadow Sneak Attack. Then, a claw appeared out of thin air from the shadow of the Ice Elf, hitting the Ice Elf, and pinning it to the ground. Poison Attack. Yu Yu said. Jenga's fists shone with purple light, and he hit the Ice Elf's head with a fierce critical strike. With one punch, the Ice Elf fell directly to the ground, rolled his eyes, and completely lost the ability to fight. Ice Elf loses the ability to fight. Jenga wins. The referee announced again. Your Jenga. The smile on Minus's face disappeared without a trace, and he looked at Yu's Jenga in shock. Jenga is famous for its elusive speed, strange tricks that are hard to defend against, and powerful long-range attacks, but not for close combat. But Jenga just knocked down the ice elf, whose defense is not weak, with one punch. What kind of strength is this? Continue. Yu smiled, but did not answer. Minus frowned, took back the ice spirit, and then threw out a Pokeball and said, Mean Sheo, avenge the ice spirit. A red light flashed, and a white snake-shaped Pokémon appeared, shining with light and extraordinary beauty, attracting many audiences to marvel at its beauty. Minus, the most beautiful Pokémon in Hone. The perfect combination of beauty and strength. However, Jenga had no intention of being tempted at all, and the snake-shaped one was not as good looking as Eevee. Jenga, dive. Yu shouted in a low voice. Jenga's figure swayed, and immediately disappeared without a trace, as if it did not exist in this venue at all. Mean Sheo, Mystic Guard. Minus reacted quickly. Although Jenga's close range attack was powerful just now, it was still Jenga after all, and it was a technique that Jenga would definitely disgust. Use Mystic Guard first to avoid entering any strange state. Minus let out a low cry, and the green light on its body shone, containing a wonderful vitality. However, when Yu saw this scene, a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Then, a surging ghost power suddenly erupted from the side of Milotic. There was no sign, but it was earth-shattering. A black shadow rolled over, with unmatched might, and hit Milotic as powerfully as the Dark Lord. The ghost power was endless, and the entire ground cracked, leaving countless gullies. The aftermath was so strong that even the audience in the front row were affected by this power and were almost shaken out. The other trainers who came here to watch and read the information, because there was no competition, were all shocked. Looking at the shattered spider-web-like venue, and the Milotic who won the grand contest for Milotic, and whose defense had even exceeded the passing line of the king, lying there powerlessly, everyone's face was surprised. King level, absolutely king level, and not a weak one among the king level. A Jenga actually didn't use dirty tricks, but the domineering style, breaking 10 skills with one force. Sharona, who was eating ice cream, opened her mouth in surprise. Was it an illusion? Why did she feel like she was facing Giratina instead of a Jenga? It was a ghost type, but it symbolized destruction. Destroy everything with power. Chapter 196 Latius appears. Yu's Jenga is unexpectedly strong. It completely contradicts people's impression of Jenga. Yu's Jenga is domineering and powerful, with the power to destroy everything, and forcefully penetrated Minus's ice spirit in Milotic. Now Minus only has one Pokémon left. What should he do? The commentator explained the situation diligently, trying to mobilize the audience's emotions. Minus took back Milotic, and his handsome face was no longer relaxed. He looked at Yu and said, I always thought that your Dragonite was your strongest Pokémon, but I didn't expect it to be Jenga. Of course, you little white face, don't you know that the trump card is the last to appear? How could that fat giant steal my trump card position? After Minus finished speaking, before Yu answered, Jenga put his hands on his hips and said arrogantly. Minus' expression froze even more. Can this Jenga speak human language? The expressions of the audience were even more exciting. There was actually a talking Pokémon. Their surprised expressions made me and the crowd very unhappy. I have said so many things to you, but you were not surprised. Now a Jenga is talking like this. Okay, the last one. I'm really looking forward to what your last Pokémon is. Generally speaking, your trump card should be Milotic, but you just let it appear in the second game. Yu said. My last Pokémon? It was the best partner I found not long before the game. I originally wanted to save it for the trump card when I was promoted to the semi-finals. Now let it shine first. Come out, Latius. Minus solemnly took out a Pokeball, and a red light was released. A pink Pokémon appeared dreamily, and its streamlined body was generously displayed in the air. Latius. Yu's expression changed. The super dragon-like beast. Then, the commentator's emotions suddenly rose. Minus's last Pokémon turned out to be the legendary Pokémon Latius. Yu, who had already gained an absolute advantage, encountered trouble again this time. Facing such a powerful Pokémon, can you use Jenga still win? Almost at the same time, the emotions of the audience were also ignited to the peak. The legendary Pokémon, which most people may never see in their lifetime, actually saw it. This ticket is worth it. You actually have Latios. Yu's expression gradually became solemn. The information is really not very accurate. Of course, you are allowed to have a Dragonite that can control the weather and a domineering Jenga, but others are not allowed to have some good luck? Minos smiled. Yes, everyone has their own fate. Yu nodded, and then there was a stronger flame of fighting spirit in his eyes. I just got here and encountered a mythical beast. It was really unexpected, but it happened to be in the process of cleaning. After all, although Latios is also a mythical beast, there are not a few of them. Similar to Darkrai and Sidoran, there is a certain scale and they belong to the tribe of mythical beasts. Rare is rare, but the probability is 1 in 100 million. The world is so big and the population is so large, there must be a few people, right? And such an opponent is also very good for Jenga. After all, as long as there is a tribe, there must be strong and weak ones except Deoxys. The upper limit of this Latios will not exceed the king. Let's make Jenga's battle more gorgeous. Genji UI, dive. Yu said. Jenga's figure flashed and disappeared in the venue. Latios, we are invisible too. Minos said. Latios's body was shining, and he disappeared in front of everyone in an instant. Latios and Latios's exclusive talent, manipulate light, let all light pass through themselves naturally without reflecting back, clearly standing there, but people can't see it. After Jenga disappeared, Minos's Latios also disappeared. The wonderful stealth battle began. Who will win this battle? Yu or Minos? The commentator passionately explained. As soon as the voice fell, a domineering and powerful destructive force broke out again without warning, covering the sky and the earth. The audience in the arena panicked for no reason. Then, with a wail, Latios suddenly appeared from the air. With a wail, he was hit by the powerful ghost power and fell to the ground, leaving a deep pit. You can't see it with your eyes, but it always exists. Yu looked at Minos indifferently. The light cannot be reflected, so the eyes cannot see it, but the temperature of living things is different, and Jenga, as a ghost, has always been very sensitive to temperature. Avoid delusion. I see, but the damage seems to be okay, right, Latios? Minos looked at Latios and said, not bad. Latios' body glowed green and spoke human language. It couldn't speak human language, but it could achieve similar effects with telepathy. The great advantage of psychic Pokémon. Okay, Latios, use your mind. Minos said. Latios' body glowed green, his eyes glowed blue, and his powerful psychic power spread in all directions like a substance. Genji UI, Shadow Ball, break. Yu said. Jenga's figure leaped up into the sky, and his ghost power burst out. A huge shadow ball condensed in the sky, and was thrown down suddenly, like a falling comet. The full-scale confrontation between ghost power and psychic power, the powerful energy wave vented wantonly in all directions, and the clouds in the sky were completely dispersed. The two Pokémon retreated in the sky at the same time, and just stood firm. At almost the same time, the voices of the two trainers sounded at the same time. Mind Hammer. Double Shadow Ball. The moment the trainer's command sounded, the two Pokémon reacted immediately. Latios' short arms retracted into his body, bursting out at super high speed like a jet, his body spinning rapidly, and a wave of mind above his head, emitting a fierce power. Jenga's aura was fully open, and two huge shadow balls condensed on his hands, doubled the attack, and the terrifying energy wave burst out again. The two Pokémon fought with all their strength, and the two figures crisscrossed in the sky, leaving a trail of after images in the sky. One was originally a ghost, a real ghost, the Ghost King, domineering and elusive. The other was born streamlined, with unparalleled speed, soaring in the sky, elegant and beautiful, leaving only after images. The two Pokémon fought fiercely in the air, and the battle was dangerous. The commentator wanted to explain, but found that he couldn't even get a word in. The audience didn't care about this at all. They all stared at the two Pokémon in the sky without blinking, and their chests were full of blood. Super power beast, perfect match. In the audience, a young man dressed like an elegant gentleman looked at the flying Latios in the sky with an amazed look. A wonderful arc. After the young man finished speaking, a girl dressed like a noble lady beside him also admired it. The only difference was that this girl's legs were suspended in the air, but she was floating. The two seeded players, Wusong and Catalaya, both are experts in the psychic system. Especially the latter. Catalaya, like Nancy, is born with powerful superpowers. So, do you think you will lose? Day said lazily. Up to now, there are only 16 people left in the game. So, from now on, almost all the other players will come to watch every game. Not necessarily, the beast is just a title. Jenga is not weak, compared to the legendary Pokémon. I believe in Pokémon that become stronger through training with their own strength. I believe that my bronze bell will definitely not be weaker than this Latius. Wusong said. You will win. Catalaya gave a completely different conclusion. Sirona looked at Catalaya strangely. She had known Catalaya for a long time, but she rarely saw Catalaya so sure of someone. He is similar to me. Catalaya said, also possessing power that does not belong to ordinary people. Boom, as soon as the voice fell, a huge shadow ball of Genji fell from the sky, and a figure quickly fell. The ground rumbled, bursting with dust, revealing Latius's body covered with injuries. I won. Yu looked at Minos and said, not necessarily, Latius. Self-regeneration. Minos's clear eyes showed a confident expression. Latius, who was covered with injuries, struggled to get up, and his body was shining with green light, and many injuries were recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Self-regeneration. Quickly restore physical strength, treat injuries. Theoretically, after 2 times, it can be restored to its original state. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Jenga, I'll kill you in front of you. Oh my god, the battle that I thought was settled has another twist and turn. Minos's Latius can even regenerate his special move. So as long as you give Latius time, he can recover quickly. Facing such a strong opponent who can continue to recover, do you have any other ideas? No. The commentator's excited commentary surrounded the whole venue, and then the naughty voice of Latius rang out. I saw Latius flying in the air naughtily, looking like he was playing, and also like he was provoking Jenga. Although you are better than me, you can't defeat me all at once, then I can live. You are so ugly. Jenga said. Latius's naughty laughter froze for a moment, and he looked at Jenga with a killer look and said, what did you say? You are so ugly. Sister Evie is much prettier than you. Jenga put his hands on his hips, still proud. Evie suddenly jumped out of the treasure ball on Sirona's waist, dancing excitedly on the stage, waving his hands and dancing. Brother Jenga is right. A group of trainers looked at him sideways. One just mentioned Evie's sister, and another came out to dance. Needless to say, it's these two. So what is your relationship? What is the relationship between Jenga and Evie? They are different species. How can they be together? Sirona watched the game calmly, pretending not to see Evie's dance, and did not notice the reactions of the group of people. Jenga's words made Evie ecstatic, but Latius fell into a rage, and his superpower surged, and he attacked Jenga forcefully. Jenga floated by calmly and said confidently, little Yi, help me. Go find it. Yi cursed unhappily, and then shook his wrist. The Z pure crystal on his wrist shone with purple light, and a powerful ghost power condensed. A mysterious connection was born between Yu and Jenga, and a terrifying momentum rose. With Jenga as the center, a dark shadow condensed under them. One person and one pet, with the same evil smile on their faces. Like a ghost or a spirit, but not like a human. But such an aura made the main Pokémon of all the Champion League players come out of their Pokéballs without listening to their master's orders, standing in front of their trainers, looking at their opponents vigilantly. Latius was even more chilled. What the hell is this? How could Jenga have such power? Latius, use self-regeneration again. Minos said. He didn't know what kind of power this was, but he had to restore all his strength first. As Minas finished speaking, Latius hurriedly used his special move to restore his strength, but just as he was about to restore, the ghost power of the entire venue suddenly rioted, and countless ghost-like creatures stretched out from the ground, like 100 ghosts howling, completely interrupting Latius's recovery. Latius's face changed drastically, and he flew into the sky, wanting to escape completely. But just as he flew up, he was greeted by Jenga. Jenga manipulated the powerful ghost power and attacked Latius without reservation, knocking Latius down again and hitting him hard into the ground. A strong light burst out, and the referee was frightened and turned pale, and his legs trembled and collapsed to the ground. When the light faded, the field, which was already full of potholes, collapsed completely, like the tragic scene after a magnitude 10 earthquake. Latius fell to the ground, and there was almost no part of his body that was intact. Weak and powerless, Jenga turned his head proudly and was hit by Latius without any intention of looking back. I killed it for you to see. Jenga won. You won. You and Jenga are both so powerful. Let's cheer for their power. The commentator also said passionately. The emotions of the audience boiled up, and the explosion was so cool. Especially those who were the same age as Dr. Sakurage's youngest son, Sota, were even more excited, and their eyes were shining, and they regarded Yu and Jenga as idols. Come back. Yu picked up the Pokeball, took back Jenga who was about to go wild, and walked back to his position. When passing by Sharona's position, Sharona suddenly laughed and said, "You and Jenga are more powerful than I thought. But even with such power, isn't it enough to beat you?" Yu said. "But such power makes me very excited. In the next game, go all out. You and Jenga use more power than now. I haven't played a hearty game for a long time." Sharona said. "Okay, I will watch your game in the afternoon." Yu said. "Watch it carefully. You should not have seen what Garchomp looks like when he fights seriously." Sharona said. "I look forward to it." Yu nodded and was about to leave. But he was stopped by Catalaya and said, "The power in you seems to be not weak at all. It's about the same as you." Yu smiled and looked at Catalaya with a strange look in his eyes. How to say it? According to the trajectory, the four kings of Sin are the Ground King Kikuno, the Psychic King Amatsu, the Fire King Day, and the Bug King Aliu. And Aliu's strength is the weakest of the four kings. With Catalaya, how did Aliu get to the top? Is it because a bug type restrains the psychic type? Then how do you concentrate completely during the game? When you face a fierce battle, won't your heart waver? Won't your power get out of control? Catalaya said. "No, because whether I win or lose, I will go all out, and I will bite off the opponent's flesh even if I die. Before I beat the opponent to death, I have no time to waver. As for the loss of control of power, my power is with my Pokémon. I won't lose control when the Pokémon is there." Yu replied, and then walked straight towards Lily and the others. "I will bite off the opponent's flesh even if I die. I won't lose control when the Pokémon is there." Catalaya looked strange. "This is what you lack the most." Sharona looked at Catalaya and said. The two of them knew each other for a long time. They were close friends and rivals. Since the battle, Catalaya has never defeated her, and a large part of it is because Catalaya has a problem with her psychological quality. If she loses, her overly powerful superpowers may go out of control. So she doesn't want to lose. An overly strong desire to win may make a trainer firm in his beliefs and move forward courageously, or it may make a trainer hesitant with too many ideas, all of which he thinks are good ideas, but he is afraid of failure, so he fails instead. "I will try my best and fight with you." Catalaya looked up and looked at Sharona firmly. Although she was not so sure in her heart, she never showed weakness in front of Sharona. "Okay, I look forward to watching my game in the afternoon." Sharona smiled lightly, her golden hair fluttering, and she was indescribably confident. The other trainers looked at Sharona with expectations in their eyes. Here, the 4 seeded players are theoretically the strongest, and the number 1 seeded player is Sharona. Only Sharona's opponent had a very unhappy expression. Chapter 198 Sharona's Strength. The 2 players in today's competition are Miss Sharona, who has been called a genius trainer since the beginning of her journey, and Gali, who is known for her domineering power and travels from the land of Unova dragons to become a dragon master. In the morning, Yao and Minus showed us a wonderful pizza. How will their competition be? In the afternoon competition, the commentator briefly introduced the situation. After that, the whole stadium burst into cheers. Sharona, come on. Miss Sharona, you are my idol. Sharona, come on. The enthusiasm was even higher than that of Minus in the morning. Because, when it comes to beautiful women and men with average looks, people tend to prefer the former. When it comes to strong and weak, people admire the strong and tend to prefer the strong. When it comes to locals and foreigners, people still tend to prefer the former. So in general, with the current situation, it is no exception. It's really enthusiastic. Lily said with her mouth open in surprise. Get used to it. At the end of the year, I'll take you to see Du challenge the 4 Heavenly Kings Kona. Everyone's reaction will be even more enthusiastic than this. Yao said. At the end of every year, when Du was on vacation, he would always return to Kanto without giving up, wanting to challenge the championship position again, and achieve the double championship of Kanto and Johto. Every time, the audience cheered for him from Kona's side. Moreover, every year Du lived up to everyone's expectations, and was taught a lesson by Kona in various ways, and then honestly returned to Johto to be the champion. The most interesting time was when he lost, and returned to Johto, destroyed 3 bases of Team Rocket in a month, and chased Team Rocket Apollo. Lilia nodded, looking at the lively reactions around her, and suddenly felt that being a trainer seemed to be pretty good. After much anticipation, Sharona and her opponent both appeared. It was randomly decided that Sharona would attack first. Sharona calmly took out a Pokeball and threw it into the air, and a Garchomp made a brilliant appearance. Sharona's first Pokémon turned out to be her ace main force, Garchomp. Facing such a strong man, what should Galia do? The commentator explained. Galia looked at Sharona's Garchomp with a stern expression. He was facing an ace right away, which was beyond his imagination. However, as an excellent trainer, he resolutely released his first Pokémon. Red-faced dragon, come on stage. A red light flashed, and a red-headed, ferocious-looking, slightly ugly dragon Pokémon appeared on the field. The shame of the dragon clan against the dragon-type boss. Yu in the audience couldn't help shaking his head. The difference in strength was not big, and the shame of the dragon clan would lose. What's more, the gap was not small, which was not very interesting to watch. The shame of the dragon clan. What kind of evaluation is this? Xiaoxu asked curiously. This red-faced dragon is also a dragon type, right? I haven't seen it. It should be from the Unova region. What's wrong? Why is it called the shame of the dragon type? Because it's ugly, Yu said calmly. To be precise, it is ugly and weak. The dragon type has always been a very strong attribute, and the most important thing is that the dragon type Pokémon is strong. Even if the fairy type is released in the future, there will not be much change. After all, most fairy types are too fragile. For example, Mirillary, who is jokingly called a dragon slayer by everyone, can easily beat 20 Dragonite alone in a real fight. And the ability of the Crimson Dragon may not be as good as that of the Beedrill. If it is stronger, it can be ugly and cute, and become good looking. For example, the newly released Gryphon in the Sword and Shield region is not as good looking as the Crimson Dragon, but it can fight, and suddenly becomes handsome in the eyes of a group of people. It's not bad. Xiaoxu said, we should look at the inequalities of Pokémon. Yu smiled, did not argue, and continued to pay attention to the game. Since the beginning of the game, Sharona has always used other Pokémon to fight. So far, Garchomp is the first time to appear. Grimmchomp, Dragon Claw. Sharona quickly ordered, and the green dragon power on Garchomp's arm surged. The figure rushed forward and instantly came in front of the Crimson Dragon, and killed it with one claw. Crimson Dragon, hold on. Galia shouted hurriedly. The green light on the Crimson Dragon shone, and an energy shield formed around it. Faced with the powerful attack of Garchomp from Sharona, Galia chose to use the conservative move of Guard. Guard can absolutely defend against the opponent's attack. Then, what will happen next? When the commentator was about to say how the two players would fight next, Garchomp's sickle-like arm slashed down, breaking Guard from the front, and the Dragon Claw hit the red-faced dragon. With one claw, the red-faced dragon fell into the wall, rolled its eyes, and completely lost its ability to fight. Oh my god. Gallia's red-faced dragon used guard, but it was still broken by Sharona's guard comp from the front. This is guard, which is said to block all attacks. The commentator exclaimed, and the audience around cheered. Guard can also be broken? Gladian looked at Dr. Kuki in surprise. He was not familiar with Dr. Kuki, but his sister was familiar with him, and he was the most experienced person here, so he naturally asked him. Yes. As long as the power is strong enough, all the special moves are not fixed. Dr. Kuki replied, looking at the guard comp on the field. His brows furrowed even more. But those who can break the defense head on must be incredibly strong. The others were also surprised to see the defense being broken for the first time. Only Yu seemed calm. This kind of thing has happened before. In the original book, the battle against the Pyramid Pharaoh God era in the pioneering area broke Shinji's defense head on. After all, it's nonsense to talk about the effect without talking about strength. No one would really believe that Groudon's Cliff Sword can't kill a Pidgeot. You can actually break the defense? Gladian and other spectators were so surprised, let alone the opponent Gallia. Looking at Sharona, Gallia was full of shock. Nothing can't be broken, keep fighting. Sharona smiled slightly, and her bright pupils were full of high fighting spirit. Okay, Double Axe War Dragon, come out. Gallia released his second Pokémon. Griffin, Dragon Claw. Sharona still used the same moves as last time. Garchomp charged forward, and the Dragon Claw slashed down quickly. Double Axe Dragon, Dragon Claw. Double Axe Dragon swung his fist fiercely, and then, bang, a loud noise, and another hole appeared on the wall. Double Axe Dragon lost the ability to fight. The referee looked at the cold sickle arm of Sharona's Garchomp, and breathed a sigh of relief. It's always better than in the morning. One cut one, no problem for me. It's not like in the morning. There was so much noise. Were you hitting the opponent or me? Oh my god. It's solved in one go again. Is Sharona's Garchomp so strong? 2 consecutive moves, defeated 2 opponents. Sharona is too strong. Is there any way for Gallia? The commentator was also surprised. This is a top 16 player, and she actually killed one with one cut. Gallia's expression changed completely. Looking at Sharona's eyes began to show a trace of fear. 2 generals were solved so quickly. Are you still human? Taking a deep breath, Gallia took out his last treasure ball. 3-headed dragon. It's all up to you. A red light flashed, and a 3-headed ferocious looking dragon with 6 wings flew out. The quasi-god of the United Nations. Gallia's last trump card. In Gallia's imagination, it should be used in the final battle after the wonderful battle with Sharona to lay the foundation for victory. But he didn't expect to be forced to this point. Now he doesn't expect to win, he just wants not to be defeated by one move again. 3-headed dragon, fly up. Gallia gave the order first, and the 3-headed dragon flew straight into the sky. Griffin, ultimate impact. Sharona said. The fierce bite of the dragon flew into the air, and the energy on its body surged, forming a storm, and violently hit the body of the 3-headed dragon. With a bang, there was another huge pit on the wall. 3-headed dragon, lose the ability to fight. The referee made a timely judgment. The commentator was stunned for a moment, and then said in an extremely intense voice, oh my god, she won. Miss Sharona, from the beginning to the end, she only used 3 tricks. From the beginning to the end, it has only been less than 3 minutes. Miss Sharona has created the shortest game time record of this Champions League. Miss Sharona is really too strong. No, we should call her a master. The reaction of the whole audience was also extremely enthusiastic, and cheers like a landslide and tsunami broke out. And all the contestants' expressions were unprecedentedly solemn. Gallia's strength is not weak. Although there are many people here who are confident that they can easily defeat it, no one can do it with one move. How strong is this biting land shark? Sharona, who won the game, did not have a particularly happy expression on her face. Instead, she looked at Liu in the crowd and said, let me see how special your Jenga is. Why does it make me feel like I have seen Giratina? Liu's expression turned solemn. Sharona is very strong. He has always known it, but he has no intuitive feeling. Now he knows that she is really strong. Chapter 199 Mewtwo's Concern. Xiao, relax. No matter what, you are already in the quarterfinals, and have the opportunity to challenge the king. The goal this time has been achieved. Don't worry too much about tomorrow's game. Kikuko's kind face appeared on the computer screen. It's okay. My goal was to be in the quarterfinals. I always knew that Sharona was very strong, but I never thought about winning. Yu said with a smile. How should I put it? Ever since Sharona showed her strong strength in the competition, there have been various consolations. Those who are close, Professor Oak and Dr. Kuki. Those who are far away, even Kikuko, who is far away in Kanto and is too busy to be there in person, also sent a video. And she is the third one. Yu's parents have video chatted with each other before. At that moment, Yu was really very happy. He found that his parents had not forgotten him. It's good that you can relax. Sharona is really strong now. I watched that game. You are not her opponent now, but you are still young, and you have a long way to go. You won't be 18 when the next Champions League starts. Besides, you don't have to play in the Champions League anymore. With the strength of the quarterfinals, you are a candidate for the Quasi King. In a few years, you can directly challenge the position of the Four Kings of Kanto. Kikuko looked at Yu's performance and felt a little relieved. I know. Yu smiled and said a few words to Kikuko, hung up the video, and then the smile on his face disappeared. Although there is indeed a big gap between my strength and Sharona's, 6-6, there is almost no chance of winning. I have always said that I have no hope of winning. But you two are so comforting. Why am I so unhappy? Log into the website and Yu investigate Sharona's information. Then, the more he looked, the worse his face looked. As an opponent, Sharona is really a difficult existence. The strength of each Pokémon is balanced, and unlike the General Kings, who specialize in one attribute, instead, it is all attribute and good at multiple attribute Pokémon. In his hands, he had 7 main forces: Dragon and Ground Land Shark, Fairy and Flying Togekiss, Fighting and Steel Lucario, Grass and Poison Roserade, Ghost and Evil Flower Rock Monster, Pure Water Milotic, Water and Ground Sea Cow. Land Shark was champion level, needless to say. According to known information, Togekiss and Lucario were also king level, and the rest were at least Quasi King level. And with Sharona's ability and future achievements, it wouldn't be strange if there was another one. In his hands, he had a champion level that barely cooperated with him, or the peak of the king, one that had just entered the king, and then 3 Quasi Kings and 1 elite. The Linoop was too different. The top was not as good as the opponent, the middle was not as good as the opponent, and the tail was not as good as the opponent. Unless, in a completely intact state, he could destroy the opponent's top king, otherwise the winning rate would be 0. Looking at the results he had calculated, Yu frowned. After working so hard for so long, he was really unwilling to stop here. But it is indeed almost impossible to win, unless Giratina is called over, but that would be meaningless. Yu thought for a long time, and finally shook his head violently, throwing away the useless thoughts. Who cares? Even if it is destined to lose, the way of losing is different. Even if it is Sharona, if she wants to beat me, she will have to work hard. Yu sat in front of the computer desk, repeatedly deducing the plan to improve the possible winning rate. Unknowingly, it was 11 o'clock. Outside, powerful superpower fluctuations flashed, and Mewtwo appeared in the yard. Yu looked down from upstairs and said, "Are you back? Go out. Did you have fun?" After coming here, Mewtwo still couldn't change the habit of walking around. After all, if the superpower is strong enough, you can really do whatever you want. You haven't slept yet? Mewtwo looked at Yu in surprise. At this time, it's time to go to bed. I can't sleep because I can't figure out some things. Go ahead. Your food is ready and on the table. In addition, because you like spicy food, Zyadaxu specially made it a little more spicy for you, but it may not be enough, so I put a stack of hot sauce on the side for you. You can control it yourself. Also, the fried meat on the side is not delicious. When it is cold, you can put it in the microwave to heat it up. Yu said. Cheomeng nodded, his superpowers flashed, and he teleported again, disappearing in the yard. Yu smiled lightly, didn't care, and continued to prepare his battle plan. An hour later, Cheomeng suddenly appeared next to Yu. "What's the matter?" Yu asked. "Your side, Liang." Cheomeng replied lightly, then sat aside, waved his hand, and a book flew over. Or, I'll buy you a tablet, so you can read all kinds of books, Yu said. Books like that are boring to flip through. Cheomeng said. Yes, some books are more enjoyable to read. Yu nodded, and then he didn't say anything, and continued to look at Sharona's fighting style, battle records, and various Pokémon battle data. Muto flipped through the book casually, but after flipping through it, most of his attention was on Yu. Looking at Yu who was focused and serious, Muto had a hint of doubt in his eyes. This was the first time he saw Yu preparing so seriously. Is the next game important? Is this woman very powerful? Can she be stronger than me? Muto had a hint of doubt in his eyes, but Yu, who was immersed in the data, didn't notice this. Yu went to bed near dawn. He didn't even have the heart to watch the other people's games in the morning. After that, it was another day. Yu continued to formulate various tactics, and Muto watched for another day. It even made Xiaoxu and Lilia very worried. Until the night before the game. Yu didn't turn on the computer, but ran out to eat hot pot alone. Smelling the extreme aroma of the hot pot, Yu showed an intoxicated expression on his face. Together with Dragonite, he kept grabbing things and stuffing them into his mouth. After an hour, the bamboo sticks and post-meal garbage piled up like a small mountain. Then, one person and one dragon leaned back on the chair without any image and burped. Sure enough, there is nothing that a hot pot can't solve. If there is, just have another one. I heard that you have been very troubled recently. Now it seems that you are fine. A strand of golden hair suddenly fell in front of Yu. Huh? You come here too? Yu asked curiously. The ice cream in this hot pot restaurant is delicious. I always come here to eat, but I didn't expect to see you. I heard that you have been thinking about how to deal with me. Have you figured it out? Sharona said. No. Yu said, I thought of many ways, but the conclusion I came to in the end was that I can't beat you. Really? This is completely different from the domineering I saw in the game. I thought you would say confidently that you will definitely win. Sharona said. After seeing your strength, I still think that I will definitely win. Either I'm the strongest master or I'm a fool. I'm neither the former nor the latter. Yu said. So, you give up? Sharona said. No, I mean, no matter whether I win or lose, I will fight with all my strength. I have calculated this game. The best case is 30% to 70%, but 30% probability is also probability. Maybe it will succeed. Or, halfway through the fight, you think I'm handsome and give up. Yu smiled. Sharona was stunned, staring at Yu with her beautiful eyes wide open, as if she met him for the first time. This young man is much stronger than she imagined. Chapter 200. First battle victory. The semi-finals have officially begun. The winner of today's match can directly challenge the current Elite Four. There are two players preparing to participate today. One is the dark horse player of this tournament, Yu, a trainer from Kanto. He has won consecutive games since the beginning of the competition. He has Dragonite that can control the weather and Jenga that is incredibly powerful. So far, he has never used 3 Pokémon in any competition, and he is also the youngest among the contestants in the Champions League. The other is the top seed of this tournament, Miss Sharona, a trainer who stands out with her great strength. In the last game, she defeated the opponent's 3 Pokémon with just 3 moves, setting the shortest game record in this tournament. She is known as the strongest trainer of this tournament. In addition, starting from this game, the game will be in a 6-on-6 format, which will test the trainer's ability even more. The commentator explained the situation, and the atmosphere in the audience was extremely enthusiastic. Pockets, it's up to you. Sharona, who was randomly chosen to take the first shot, threw the Pockets, and a huge bird flew out, with some triangular spots on its body, soaring freely in the sky, extremely light, and faintly shining with light spots. Miss Sharona sent out the legendary Pockets, which can bring happiness. It has super luck and powerful flying ability. It is a beautiful creature with both beauty and strength. It wins the game for Miss Sharona. What kind of game will it show you today, Pockets? Yu's expression changed slightly. According to the information in hand, Sharona's Pockets is the top king level, second only to Garchomp. It was sent out so early. Because you said there is a 30% chance of winning, I believe you. Since you said there is a chance, there must be a chance, and this 30% chance of winning is also a big risk for me, so I will also go all out. Sirona seemed to see through Yu Yu's thoughts and smiled slightly. She is very serious about the game. Yu Yu's biggest shortcoming is that she is too young and has not trained for too long. She only has 2 king level Pokémon, and the rest are too immature. She sent out Togekiss. Yu Yu only has 2 choices. Either fight in advance, she is confident of winning, or consume. Her 1 Togekiss is enough to clear all the ones below the king level, and even have enough energy to fight Dragonite. Really? It seems that I'm asking for trouble. But in this case, I will also go all out. Absol, come on. Yu Yu threw the Pokeball. Absol jumped out, with a high posture and arrogant expression. The first Pokémon sent by contestant Yu Yu is Absol. This Absol won the victory for contestant Yu Yu in the preliminary and semi-finals. The commentator introduced Yu Yu's Absol, but Yu Yu frowned and looked at him unkindly. What's the matter? Do you have a problem with me? You introduced Shirona's Togekiss with so many words, but you only said 1 sentence to introduce my Absol. The commentator was calm and composed, as if he didn't feel Yu Yu's gaze at all, and was extremely indifferent. Pockis, / Sharona took the initiative and issued an attack order. Pockis danced lightly, raised his wings high, condensed his flying energy, and slashed down fiercely. Countless air blades came down and attacked Absol. Absol, Shadow Clone, Evil Wave, Yu Yu said. Absol understood, and in an instant, it transformed into many clones, and the air blade slashed down, only hitting Absol's clone, and the original body was not damaged at all. Then, the purple-black energy ball in Absol's mouth condensed, exuding a strong destructive aura, and it was thrown fiercely at Pockis in the sky. Pockis, use steel wings, fight back, Sharona commanded. Pockis's eyes were sharp, and he swooped down quickly. The bright white metallic luster on his wings flashed by, like a sharp steel knife, slapping the evil wave violently, not only knocking the evil wave back, but also attacking rapidly. Absol, get out of the way, Yu Yu shouted hurriedly. Pockis swooped down, and when the steel wings were about to hit, Absol burst out with amazing agility and jumped suddenly, narrowly avoiding it. Pockis, combo. Pockis understood, and used the steel wing tricks continuously, one move faster than the other, but Absol always escaped with difficulty in the midst of danger. Miss Sirona is worthy of being Miss Sirona. She showed her strong strength from the beginning. Yu Yu's Absol had no power to resist at all. It was like a stray dog. How could he fight against it? The commentator explained the situation, and the audience was excited. But Sirona felt uneasy. She had always been concerned about the strength of this Absol. It was pretty good among the Quasi Kings. It had a strong character, and was persistent in fighting, but it was just good, not outstanding. It was not very good at dodging. Why was it so fast today? If it was Jenga, it might be possible, but how could Absol? While hesitating, Sirona's eyes quickly turned firm and said, Pockis, use the wave missile. Since you can't figure it out, use your strength to solve everything. The wave missile, lock on the opponent's wave missile. With the strength of Pockis, even a champion level Pokémon can't dodge it. At most, it can just be knocked away. No matter how fast Absol is, it can't dodge. Pockis closed its wings, and a light blue energy ball condensed, locking on Absol, and hitting it fiercely. Miss Sirona's Pockis used the wave missile. This is a surefire trick. You use Absol will definitely not be able to dodge it. What Pockis will use next? Said the commentator. Absol, hypnosis. At this moment, Yu Yu suddenly shouted, his eyes full of confidence. How is it possible? How can Absol learn hypnosis? Sirona's confident and calm expression disappeared, and she looked at Absol in shock. Absol can't learn hypnosis. Is he hiding something? Or is this Absol also a mutant? Sirona was surprised to see that Absol, who was originally exhausted and looked like a lost dog, suddenly stopped and rushed directly towards Pockis, completely ignoring the wave missile in front of him. Pockis was surprised and couldn't believe that this guy who was just being chased by him dared to attack him now and wanted to withstand his wave missile. Can he withstand it? However, the next scene made Pockis's eyes almost fall out. Absol rushed head on, and Pockis used all his strength to hit Absol with a wave missile, but it seemed to hit the air and passed through directly. Pockis' eyes widened, as if he had seen a ghost, and then he fainted, before he realized anything. And Sirona finally realized that something was wrong, and blurted out, Genji. Only Jenga's disguise could explain all this. The ghost type is immune to the wave missiles of the fighting type. Finally realized it, but it's too late. Yu's tone suddenly rose. Genji, black eyes. Absol on the field suddenly transformed. The purple smoke changed and turned into a Jenga with black eyes. Oh no, Pockis, come back soon. Sirona hurriedly picked up the Pockis and wanted to take back Pockis, but it was completely blocked as soon as it was sent out. The black eyes have weak attack power, but they can prevent Pockis from returning to the Pockis. Then, Jenga, sing as much as you want, the Song of Destruction. Yu smiled slightly. Jenga opened his mouth to sing. This was different from what Absol had just learned. This trick was inherited from Jenga's mother. Jenga knew it a long time ago, but never used it. Absol jumped in front of it, but it sang in the opposite direction. And Sirona's expression was completely cold. If Togekiss woke up, she would have 1,000 ways to get out of this predicament, or if she knew that this Pokémon was Jenga, she would also be on guard against such a method. Black gaze plus hypnosis plus the Song of Destruction. This combination of tricks is the basis in Pokémon School. But now she failed to defend herself and was hypnotized again, and Togekiss basically couldn't wake up. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.